we're on. All right. So I think what we're gonna do with this project, most of you has done legislative with me, correct? And some of you has done quality management with me as well. So anyone hasn't done legislative or project management? I mean, hasn't done quality management and legislative? Junie seems to be a new name. Gabriela, are you new?
Hi, doctor. This is my first semester.
Okay, you're a
yeah.
new student.
Yeah.
And Gabriela?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Yeah, I'm also a new student for this course. Yeah.
Okay. So there's two new ones here, huh? Right. And yeah, Bankamix, you've set for the legislative class already, isn't it?
This semester.
Bankamix, are you around, Bankamix?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. You've done legislative with me, correct or not?
Yeah, already done.
You've done quality
First
management with
semester.
Okay. So I just want to get a feel because who's the really new people here. So yeah, so this is a project management class, and it's going to be shared between me and Dr. Lee. We are your main lecturers or academician taking up this particular course, so there's no other people involved. And I'll be taking you for the first 3 weeks at the moment. The first 3 weeks, the first 3 LU, okay, LU1, LU2, LU3, okay. Let me share the okay, so are we ready to go, huh? So, we're starting the class now. Get your Maggie going. You can eat if you want, but just remember to mute yourself so that we don't hear you slurping away. Just to give you the gist of what course is all about. This is the old course plan, okay? So usually we don't produce the course plan right away, but I'll show you the older ones, okay? So essentially for the first 3 weeks, actually we do not, here we took a long time to finish up scope management, right? So we're not going to follow this because this is a bit too long. We don't need that long, okay? So we're going to have like today, the first class, I'll be taking you for LU1. We go by LU, which is learning units, okay? Used to be associated with week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 to week 14. But we're going to have 14 LUs, and in these 14 LUs, essentially what we'll be covering is a topic, okay? Usually 1 week associated with one topic or one class associated with one topic. So one class is about 3 hours. And yeah, so let's say today we're supposed to have 2 classes, which is from 8 to 2 o'clock. Then we're going to be covering LU1 and LU2, followed by next week LU3. So essentially what me and Dr. Lee is doing is I'll be covering today LU1, LU2, and then tomorrow, next Saturday, LU3. And these 3 LUs, what we're going to do is I will normally, like I think those of you who actually attend classes before, I do not like to rush through the syllabus. So what I will do is normally like today, what we're going to do is what I will do is I will actually finish up the first class, the first sessions, which is from 8 to 11. And then we may continue for a little while until 11:30 or 12, depending on the amount of syllabus, because I prefer to go by syllabus. You know, if I go by time, like today I squeeze everything into these 2 LUs. It will be very taxing for people, that for you guys, and I think the absorption level is usually not there. So what I will do is, what I normally do is, especially we have all these back-to-back classes like this, okay? Unless it's physical, but if we have back-to-back classes like this, what I'll do is I will not use up whole 6 hours, okay? I will finish up maybe with 3.5, without any break to 3.5, or, you know, if we have breaks, then it'll be about 4 hours. Then the latest we'll finish by 12. So today class, like I said, you know, 11:30 to 12, we will be done. Okay. Then I will normally cut off based on topics. So once the topic is done, okay, no matter what the time is, we will finish. And then I may, if I have extra time, I wouldn't mind starting a new topic. But it depends. Okay, it depends on you guys, depends on myself, how, you know, able we are to absorb, how able I am to talk for another few hours. So we will start something, and then by next week, we will have a 3 to 6 p.m. class. Okay, so essentially for these 3 LUs, we're supposed to finish some very quick introduction of project management, which I don't think you need. Okay, because all of you are working people. You've already got an undergraduate degree in, I believe, technology or engineering based. I know some of you are not really engineering based. Some of you are QS, and some of you are maybe from science background. Those of you who are from QS and engineering and architecture and all that, I'm not worried, because you guys are very familiar with project management as well. Construction management, project management, some form of project management, you guys are familiar. So, but if you are from science and physics and all that sort of things, and you enter, or you know, some form of science program, you have to let me know, because otherwise I'm going to be assuming that, oh, you are actually from some form of engineering background. Okay. So I believe Gabriella and Junie, right? So you guys are from some form of engineering background. Okay. Then we do is we will finish up some very simple, you know, after condense the fundamentals. Then after that, follow up by studying the scope management topic. The scope management here in the program is supposed to take you 6 weeks. I think that is too much. Okay, so what we will do is maximum about 4 weeks finish up scope. So I'll be taking you for scope management up to WBS. Okay, and then there will be a separate class on option analysis, and that one is project implementation, which is also part of scope management. And there will be sessions on life cycle costing, BE. Okay, so all this we will finish up in about 4 weeks. Okay, so on the LCC, from LCC and value engineering, life cycle costing and value engineering, I will be taking you, but like I said, I will complete this in 3 LUs. Okay, then Dr. Lee will be focusing on engineering economics. Right, I know you do have a financial economics class, you know, with some sort of calculation going on and all that. It's fundamental. Some of you have taken that, some of you haven't, some of you are taking it this semester. I think it's part of this semester. So I think it's called financial management and economics or something like that. But we find, you know, it's not going to be repetitive. What happens is, in those financial classes and economics classes, the whole subject itself will be on the basic formulas, you know, and how you do the calculation and all that. Okay, but here, okay, in our one class that we have with you in scope management, Dr. Lee and I we think that it's still important because when you do it with finance, the financial people, they are telling you about the tools. You see, the tools of all these like net present value, internal rate of return, profitability index, annual worth, annual cost, those sort of things. So yeah, techniques is there, you probably learn the techniques and they will give you a few examples about how to use these things, and some is mainly to brush up on the way that you calculate. Okay, so here in engineering economics, it's very specific. We're going to be linking it with option studies. So I will mention to you what is option studies and what's in option studies and what you need to do for option studies and how to evaluate if a project is actually healthy, if it's healthy to proceed, whether it's a good investment, and then whether it's going to be making money or in some form of project like infrastructure project, transmission towers and all those sort of things, you're not going to be expecting them to make money. You see, so how do you calculate the cost and benefit if you're not talking about dollars and cents? So we'll be covering on this project evaluation. And project evaluation really for us critically is going to be how you as engineers can tell the client and view the project and, conclude and summarize to the client that, this is something that you should go ahead. This is now that you should go ahead. And this is why you should go ahead with it, because the cost will be overcome. The cost is a lot. The cost is a lot, yes, but we have this benefit, and that those benefits can be in dollars and cents, and those benefit is going to also be in non-dollars and cents form, such as other things like social economics, and business building, nation building, and serving the people, improving quality of life, improving health, and improving education, or even like things like putting Sarawak or putting a country on the global nation stage and all that kind of thing. So there are a lot of benefits also comes in terms of intangible benefits. Okay, so those intangible benefits, of course, we prefer to tell you that if possible, please also have their own denomination, which means have their own factors rather than you just talk qualitatively. So I think this is what we are trying to target at, in terms of project management here. So scope management, part of scope management will be the traditional scope management of how you arrive at the scope and how you arrive at scope of work, which is talking about product breakdown structure and WBS work structure. And then in between there will be evaluation of options, whether this product is a yes or no, and whether the components of the product can have other options attached to it. So we will really be looking into that bit as a whole class itself. Then of course, scope management, we will also be looking at, life cycle costing and also value engineering. Value engineering is also quite closely tied in with option studies as well. So this is what we will do, okay? In these 4 weeks. So in these 4 weeks, we have to cover all this. So like I say, today we cannot, there's no way that we can do 6 hours. That is not my style. Even I can talk for 6 hours. I know some of you know that I can talk for, but social level will not be there. You guys will be minty already, and you guys will be, like hungry, and you guys will be wanting things, with your family and all that kind of commitments and work commitment. There'll be phone calls from the offices and all that kind of things. So it's just not possible. Okay, so what we will do is we will floor. You will get all the topics. You will get all the things. I will not skip anything here. Okay, by topic, finish up our 4 weeks of scope management plus introduction and scope management. So this 4 weeks, if by the time next week there is any leftovers, which means if there are things that I cannot finish covering, I will definitely prepare some pre-recorded lecture. Then you guys can listen to it. Okay, so it will be there. Okay, so you don't worry. Don't worry that because we only have 4-hour classes or 3.5 hours classes, then therefore later on, you lose out on knowledge. No, it's not our style. Okay, not me and Dr. Lee's style. So whatever that we don't finish in classes, we will finish covering eventually, either in another class or also in pre-recorded. I know a lot of you like pre-recorded because you can listen to it at your own time. You can because my pre-recorded, like most of you know, is 10 minutes in a 10 minutes mark. So you got like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. So part 1, 10 minutes, part 2, 10 minutes, sometimes part 1, 10 minutes, part 2, 10 minutes. It's all around 10 minutes. So it will not be more than 10 minutes. So what you can do is in the morning, maybe you drive to work, you can, instead of listening to YouTube, you can actually on my beautiful voice, and listen to the 10 minutes, in the morning. Or if you want to bring me to a toilet with you, while you do your toilet sitting, you can also. So that can be 10 minutes as well, right? Instead of playing with your handphone, you can listen to the class. So, I mean, there is a lot of time for you to go through it. So, I mean, don't tell me that you don't have time, okay? Because we are not expected to listen to the whole pre-recorded lecture in one sitting. You can do it in multiple sittings. And those parts still not clear, you can always come back, okay? And then go to that particular 10 minutes and scroll through that particular 10 minutes. So don't worry. I think pre-recorded is there. Anything that wherever we stop, class finish, anything left over in that LUs, I will give you pre-recorded. So total, you will not miss out on anything. So by the time week 3 finish or LU3 finish, I will have gone through scope management with you. I will have gone through WBS, work breakdown structure, product breakdown structure, LCC, and VE. Okay. And then right after work breakdown structure, we will have a long break from this particular subject according to the timetable. So what normally when we see each other again, it will be physical class already. And you will see Dr. Lee. Okay, so when you have your first physical class, which is I think on the 22nd or 23rd of November, Dr. Lee will go in and take where I left off on the work breakdown structure. Okay, so on the work breakdown structure, she will actually talk about how to plan for your resources. Okay, she'll tell her to plan for your resources planning. Okay, and then how to attach resources with activities, and how each resources should have their own productivity rate. Okay, and then from the productivity rate, you will go into constructing your first schedule. Okay, and then she will also go through duration estimation with you guys as well. Not only based on productivity rate, she will also talk about using formulas and all that to work on, because me and her, some of our lecturers, we've actually created a construction duration formula that we want to introduce to the classes as well. And it is our formula, and I think we are sharing it with you guys, so you don't have to pay us to share formulas with you guys, because essentially this sort of formula actually is our proprietary. So, but we would like to see more people using it. So what she will also go into is to talk about how to use the formula. I think she's planning to do that. And then she will actually go through constructing the actual construction of the schedule with you using Microsoft Project. So when you see her resources planning, then after that she will straight away go into construction of the schedule. Okay, and I think she's going to finish that in the physical class, because we are seeing you physically. So this is a good time for you to bring your laptop, okay, and bring it with you and go to the class, and we will get you to install Microsoft Project in your own laptop as well, or in your tab or whatever. Then she will show you like how to do Microsoft Project from zero to, to building a schedule and maybe mentioning to you what are the functions and all that as well. So I hope you guys appreciate that because honestly, nowadays, even if you want to go out, the cost on doing these sort of things is quite expensive, and but then you get it in the class, so make full use of it. And the program itself, you can download it. I think she will arrange that. That one you don't worry because the next class will be in November. So when it's in November, we still have plenty of time. So yeah, for her to actually liaise with you guys and giving you some link or whatever to download the program and all that. So that will be on Microsoft project. So that whole Saturday she'll be going through with you resources planning, then productivity rate. Productivity rate to us, I mean me as a technician, okay, I really don't believe in just simply experience or what we call past historical data or whatever to actually create your duration of the activity. So that one, to me, fundamental has to be productivity rate. So every resources has their own productivity rate. Like machine can do how many tons or how many meter cube per hour, per day. Human resources can lay a brick, can lay 100 bricks in a day, putting how many tiles, pour how many concrete, construct how many, bend how many bars, and factory machinery can actually do certain production in certain days, like you can supply like 100 bags of something, or 200 parts of something in a day or in an hour, or like recently I hear that a company can do like 42 test tube in an hour. That was amazing. So with robotic arms, AI and all that, they can do that. 42 in an hour. So imagine how many test tubes they can do in a day, you see? So this is compressive test. So yeah. So what we do is productivity rate is the basic, is the fundamental, is the essential. So you have to work out from this program, knowing that you cannot construct schedule based on simply pulling out from the air, throw it in, and put in the numbers and then draw your schedule. We don't believe in that. And don't, and that is illogical. That is as good as going to the casino and try your luck. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Okay, so we must learn the basic, which is productivity rate. So we'll go through that using productivity rate, how to construct time, do the calculation, construct the time, construct the schedule. Then she will teach you how to do the scheduling. With other techniques, she will leave it to the afternoon, which is like construction duration, how to use formula, how to use some of the existing formulas, at which point in time to use which existing formula and all that. Or she may talk about some form of risk management association with time, like using some form of risk management to actually construct the time. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, like, honestly, I hope you guys really will learn something, because we do want to make the engineering industry a better place, to make it a good environment, and for all engineers to be really knowing their things, so manage project well and to bring every project to success and all that. I think that is very critical. So we hope that we're giving you the kind of techniques and tools and all that. So that will be on Saturday. So that Saturday should be covering LU4, LU5, LU6 with you. So, when I post this course plan to you later, you look at the topic inside it. Don't worry about the LU, like, oh, she's not doing LU this one there. Don't worry. We will cover everything, but we will go according to the flow that we think is better. So when we plan this program, it's just going to be like, oh, we've got, this is the topic we plan for, and then associate with certain LUs. But that does not associate with the time, okay? Time. We don't associate LU6 with week 6, all the timetable 6, so it's going to be according to the flow that we think is better for you. You see, so from resources planning, we go from resources planning is a continuation from scope management, WBS. So from scope WBS, work breakdown structure, you go to resources, attaching resources to productivity rate, construction schedule, when she is available physically to go through the demonstration with you guys. We prefer to do it that way because of the physical time that we have. And other techniques you will cover in the afternoon, maybe through online or face-to-face online physical class. I leave it to her. But we will finish up time management by 6. So from time management, I will continue the next day with you on 23rd, I think, which is a Sunday. My class with you will be on cost management. Okay. So cost management, we will talk about how to construct costs, construct budget, and then from LU7, LU8 is about constructing of budgets, and what is costing, different type of costing elements. Some costing you do it at the beginning of the project, some costing you do it in the middle of the project. I'm sharing my screen now. I'm not right. Yeah. Sharing my screen? No, I'm not. Goodness
No.
gracious. Looking screen again. Never mind, but it's nothing so important now. This is just the cost plan. Right. Like I said, you have LUs associated with each of these particular topic. But when you receive this cost plan later on in the e-league, just look at the topics, okay? Just make sure that we cover all the topics. Don't worry about the LUs and when it happens and all that, okay? So that one you leave it to us. So cost management, we will do it in 2 LUs, okay? And then in the afternoon, when we go for LU9, LU8, 9, the LU10, okay, LU10, okay, 9, 10, 10, 8, 9, 10, yeah. So Dr. Lee will do LU 4, 5, 6, then 7, 8 with me on cost management. Yeah. Okay, then back to me. Now, after cost management, the natural flow of things will be going into procurement management. Okay. By normally in project management classes, we do quality management at this stage and safety management. But both quality management and safety management, you guys actually have a whole subject by itself. So we will not waste your time and repeat something very basic here in project management. Okay, so but you have to know that what we're covering is things that is not covered in other topics as well. I mean, in other subjects as well. So we won't be covering quality management, right? So after cost management, normally in normal project management classes, like let's say if you join me in my Masters of Engineering classes, I'll be talking about quality management next, okay? But here, no, because you guys you do have your own quality management classes, like whole semester. Okay, so that will be a lot more detailed than one class for us in project management. Then safety management, you guys have it. Safety management, you guys have it in subject as well. So OSHA, all these things, I think you have it completely by itself. So not covered here as well. Risk management is definitely part of project management, but it's not going to be covered here as well because you guys have a whole topic on risk, whole subject on risk management, whole 14 LUs on risk management, and I don't think we need to. It's a simpler summarized way here, okay? So, all right. So from LU8 will be covering, LU8 will be covering on cost management. LU9 and 10, we will be covering on procurement management. Procurement management is pretty much what we need to cover here. But then from the contract administration bit, so from here, I will talk about, procurement type, contract type, tendering processes and all that. So this one will take 2 LUs. So we have LU 9 and 10 on procurement. So by the time I see you during the physical week in the morning, we'll finish up on cost management and cost control, financial S-curve and all that kind of stuff. Then after that, we move on in the afternoon to talk about procurement management. And then the following class will be on the second part of procurement management. So we've got your LU 8 and LU 9 and 10. Okay. Then Dr. Lee will come back in. Okay. She will come back in and she will talk about the part that is missing, which is on engineering economics. Okay, so engineering economics, why we leave it separate, because the flow is nice already, so we don't want to suddenly, jump in and, talk about engineering economics. So project evaluation, engineering economics, they are also in a way related to procurement as well. So I think it's nice that we do it a little bit later. So I think she will take about 2 LUs to go through that with you, which is LU 11 and 12. Yes, she will do LU 11 and 12 with you on engineering economics. So she's going to give you a lot of examples, and you guys are going to do a lot of calculations and all that, and different methods of calculations and all that. So she's going to do 2 LUs with you on how to evaluate project based on economic sense, of dollars and cents, and also non-dollars and cents. And I will remind her again on this part later on. Then the last 2 classes will be covering project integration, stakeholder management, how to manage stakeholders through communication and all that. Communication, management, and organizational behavior. You have it, that you guys have it in to be, organization behavior, conflict management and all that. Management, we also have it organization behavior. So a lot of things that are not here is definitely covered in other courses, because in team management, normal, I will go through with you. In normal PM classes, you have like scope, time, cost, quality, safety. Not necessarily. Some PM don't have safety, but for people who are working in the construction field, you do have safety, and manufacturing and mechanical. I think we can talk about safety as well. General PM board knowledge, they don't have safety. Then we also have procurement, okay, risk, and team management, which include conflict management, and also have communication management, which is part of stakeholder management as well. Then we have project integration. So we've got this 9 PM board area. So yeah, what we can see here, we are covering, some of the very, very hardcore PM areas, such as scope management, project evaluation, scope management, time management, cost management, and stakeholder management, procurement management, and integration. So these six topics basically focus on 14 LU 6 topics. Then the rest, quality management, safety management, team communication, we get it in organization behavior. And it's part of contract administration. Procurement is also not said fully, but in conflict management later, we also cover in legislative, especially dispute. Conflict is a team dispute. Conflict between teams, we cover that in team management, which is supposed to be organizational behavior. But dispute is a big blown up from conflict. So dispute is covered in legislative and contract management, like CPA, mediation, arbitration, litigations, and all that. So we cover that in conflict, in dispute management, in legislative classes. All spread out. I'm sorry, I'm a bit I'm just worried that you are concerned that how come we're in PM, how come we're not covering this, how come we're not covering that? But just tell you that we're not in engineering management program. This is a program we do cover everything in a way. It's just that some of it happens in very specific courses. Okay, so they are program. MSc is your program. Courses are the subjects. Okay, so we use the word courses subject sometimes. And then from there, we cover the topic. Okay, so these are the terms that we use. Right, so cut a long story short, this is what we'll be going through in the next 14 weeks with me and Dr. Lee. So it essentially takes you about 7 weeks. I take you 7 weeks. Both of us will be giving you exam questions, fair and square exam questions. Exam questions will be 40 marks for four questions. Okay. Usually we will set based on topics that we've gone through. We'll give you tips, you don't worry. 4 questions, 2 from her, 2 from me. Okay, and then you're gonna have 60% assignment. Okay, and let me see. It is. Yep. So yeah, exam is 40%. Project, you're gonna get a project. So there's about 12 or 13 of you. So essentially, your project number, group member should be about 3 to 2, 3, 4. Okay, about 2, 3, 4. So because we've got about 13 students, so if I'm setting it as 3, if I fix it at 3, there'll be some odd ones out. Okay, but I'm okay if you go for like some people are pair work, some people are 3. If really you already got buddy with 3, and one guy is odd one, can you please either find a way to join one of the group that makes it about 4? So one group will have 4. Okay, and then you can do a combo like 4 2 pair work and then 3, 3. Okay, or you can do like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 9 plus 4. So it's up to you all. So you might as well discuss among yourself. I know there's 2 new students here, and they may want to be working with one another. So it's okay if you guys want to do pair work. I think it's fine. You don't need to have like so many cook, to cook this soup. Yeah. So those of you who are already buddy with each other from last semesters, you already worked with each other from last semester. I'm pretty sure you're quite okay to do 3 or 2 or 4. So it's up to you all. So there'll be 40%. There's a lot of marks, and there'll be individual assignment. So it's going to be set by me and Dr. B. So both of us will set the thing together. Okay. So if you ask her, also can ask me, also can. If you have any question you want to answer, it's fine. You want to ask me, it's fine. Okay. Dr. Lee is my long-term partner. So we are quite styles. We know what we are like, so I trust her, she trusts me. So you don't have to worry about, whether you ask me something and then she says something different. When she says something different, I say something different, so you don't have to worry about it. So both of us are pretty much okay. No difference, she's been with me, like I say, for a long time together. Both of us teaching project management since the inception of this program. Also do project management for undergraduate, or also do project management for masters in engineering classes and all that. So no problem at all. Okay. So yeah, so you can look for her, you can look for me. We will set this together, the individual assignment together, the project together. Final exam, we will also set it together. So it's not like I don't know what to do, she doesn't know what I'm doing. So we are very much a team. Okay. So, but marking wise, she'll be marking you on the assignment. Project wise, I'll be marking you on it. So marking wise, like I said, when you want to get marks, then you look for me if you want to get marks on the project. For her, you want to get assignment. And final exams, like I say, 2 questions from me, 2 questions from her. We'll explain, okay, what sort of areas you need to cover. So that one you don't have to worry, it's a bit too early now. Okay, so that is exam and program, and covering all these, whatever CLO, your learning objective, what you need to have at the end of the day after you finish the course. You need to know techniques, tools and techniques, project management tools and techniques and application of it. Obviously, because you guys are masters, you're not undergraduate. If undergraduate, if you say tools and techniques, you learn all the tools and techniques and then you're fine. We will let you off the hook, because you know the tool and techniques. But for you guys, we want to see some application, we want to see some case studies, we want to see assignment that is based on case studies, it's going to be application, we want to see how you apply the knowledge. That is more critical than just simply, you learn how to do the calculation. Okay, it's a different thing. So then, of course, we also need you to appreciate that, all projects are conducted, as a team. Okay, and then you need to know how to draw up project management plan as well. So from how to do a budget, how to do a schedule, how to do critical path, all these things will actually have an impact on practice later on. So again, our emphasis for this program is the practice. In the end, how you use it, how you apply it is more critical for masters rather than just absorbing the calculation, the knowledge, and all that, how to use the tools and all that. It's not that critical. For us, it's that you're supposed to know it already. You're supposed to learn it before, and here it's just a revision, so it's about how to apply it. So that we go through the program is also go through the classes is also a lot of application, examples of what happened, applications and all that. So I think that one is more essential for master's course, okay, a master's project management course, master's quality management course and all that. Okay. Go to PhD, then we'll talk about new knowledge, new things, coming up with original contribution to knowledge. Undergraduate knowledge, okay, master's application, synthesize application, okay. Synthesize means that you can put everything all linked together, integrate them, okay, and then apply them to your work, to your workplace, to your projects. And then we'll talk about PhDs, about coming up with new things. So it's about, like, for example, maybe come up with a formula that you can use, based on all the knowledge and applications that you've gone through, that type of questions. So that is how we look at application degrees and all that. Right? Any questions so far? So 14 LUs, it's going to be cover a lot of things, are very intensive. There's a lot of knowledge that you'll be revising, learning, and applying later on. No? Quiet? Put everybody to sleep? No? Today morning?
Okay, clear.
The classes are being recorded. Okay, huh? All right. Right. So the classes are being recorded, so there's no issue. If you guys are main P already, then later on you can go back and listen up. But recorded classes, if we have a 4 hours record class, we're gonna have 4 hours recording. It's going to be very, very long. So you guys need to search for the right timing to, pick up things that you are missing at that point in time. Pre-recorded lecture, if I post a pre-recorded lecture, like I said, it would be 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Or 10 minutes, 10 minutes, it's easier for you to pick up the parts that you feel like you're a little bit unsure and you need to revise it. Okay. And after you revise it and you still feel unsure, then it's time to talk to us. It's time to email us. It's time to talk about the problem, talk about the issue during class as well. Even though we have online face-to-face, it does not mean that, you cannot talk. I'm very happy for you to raise up your hands and ask questions and we can do discussions. That is what project management should be. It's very practical. It's supposed to be something that you can apply. It's supposed to be problems that you already face at your work, and then we can bring it out. Just like legislative classes, some of you have like very, very specific problems that you see in terms of contract, in terms of legislation in your workplace. And then when we about certain topics. You guys are like, oh, like this is, I also have this problem, and what do you think, and then I mean it's a good learning way as well. Instead of me talking for like next 3-4 hours, it's like putting everybody to sleep. Okay.
Still awake, doctor.
Okay, so I think yes, okay.
Okay,
Angelina,
doctor.
are you okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, everybody okay, huh?
Yeah.
So this is how
Haven't you follow
project
right now?
management is like. So, sorry? Yes, Chu. Okay, so, right. Anybody have any questions? Anything that you want me to focus on a little bit more? Okay, you can always say, but the thing I want, I'm very interested in time management, but I'm very interested in class management. Can you, when you do your classes, please tell me more about that, So yeah, you can do that as well. Okay. Right. If not, then we move on to the first sessions. I hope I've covered everything. Okay. Let me check. And some students suddenly message me on my phone. Oh, okay. Right. Nothing big. Okay. Okay. Right. We all can see my screen. If I scroll, you can see or not? Can I? Okay.
Yes, can.
Oh, Zara, you are here. Zara, you want to take your attendance first? I think you're the only one missing just now.
Can, doctor.
Zara, you want to take your attendance first? Because just now you were absent, I mean, in the list.
Okay, I
good.
already
Okay,
scanned.
so I
Okay,
off
doctor.
already. I think there's 13. Okay. Anyone not scanned yet? No, huh? I scroll through one time. All your names are here already, huh? Let me see the absent list. Zara scanned already, so no issue. So everybody is in already. Okay. 13 of you. Okay, now I know. Right, so I'll off this thing and we start to focus on the classes. Okay. How many of you are not from engineering background? No, right? All of you are from engineering background, right? Like like the new students, I know all of you are, like the old people, they are either in construction, some of you are electrical engineers, some of you are QS and all that. Okay. Bong, you are QS, right? So that one is also considered as engineering already. I mean, like part of the engineering background,
Yeah, and
Gabriela
calibration
and
actually.
Junie, are you
Yes.
Sorry?
I'm from engineering background.
Civil, mechanical?
Mechanical.
Right. And Gabriella?
Yeah, same, Dr. Ting, civil.
Civil. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So civil is a lot easier because I'm a civil engineer myself. So it's a bit easier to talk about. So project management, why I'm asking, not because of I want to waste your time asking questions, because it's really because this particular program, MSCEM, we do have a lot of people from different backgrounds. So whenever we give classes, I have to check myself, and tell myself that cannot keep talking about construction. Otherwise, some people will be like sort of like, oh, it doesn't really relate to me, so we don't want that. Right? But if you are in my 9 classes, Masters of Engineering and Civil Engineering, is so much easier. All I talk about in all these things will be in construction and civil engineering, so it's a lot easier. Okay, so yeah, so what happened is with project management is one of the very is one of the topic that is already considered as traditional in engineering. If you talk about 20 years back, maybe no. Project management is quite new. 20 odd years back, when we are in universities, during my time when we were in universities, project management is still something that is very complementary. Some university does it more, some universities don't really do it that much. But in the past 20 years, I think there's a lot of emphasis now on project management. Okay. And so most people who have gone through engineering schools or even like QS and fact, you guys also have some form of relation, like some form of knowledge, some form of classes that is on the work project management. QS not really, because your focus are usually on cost management. So we normally don't have QS completely managing projects. Projects are generally managed by engineers. If you are definitely all the building projects are managed by architects. Okay, so they are the project manager. For CNS, okay, F&E, you also have a class on engineering management, but you don't have project management class. Okay, but CNS definitely have, all CNS students will have project management because CNS is a lead consultant and the lead engineers when it comes to civil work, civil projects. Okay, like treatment plant, even building transmission towers, for example, hydro dams. Even there's a lot of heavy involvement from M&E in the project. The lead consultants usually will still be CNS, and CNS will actually handle the PM part of things. Okay, so that's why for our undergraduate students, we have a project management class for them. But in UNIMAS, M&E, they have chemical M&E, they all have a general course called engineering management. Okay? I think so. We have to know the difference. So I need to know this because, like that means there's some of your fundamentals are actually different from one another. Okay. So what we're going to go through today, even though I am so lazy to talk about all these things because I feel like it's very normal knowledge. Okay, I will off my camera now because if we leave it for too long, sometimes it will slow down the speed and all that, and then we may have some jam in the WebEx later. So I will off it first. Okay, so but I'm still here. Okay, you're not into a machine. Don't worry. Okay. And I need to shift this some way so that you can see the screen better. All right. Okay. Now we're good. Okay, so essentially, I talk about when we talk about project management, we need to talk about two things here. One of them is called projects, okay? And one of them is called management. So these two person kawan, Jenny friend, and then they date each other, and then they end up marrying each other. So project management is the final marriage between projects and management, which essentially means the application of management systems, management tools, management framework to project. Okay. But then you will ask me, what on earth is project? Okay, I mean, like we talk about projects, and some of you actually don't understand what is a project. Okay, so any effort or any any effort, okay, to deliver some form of product, okay, some very specific product, okay, all the efforts, all the activities to deliver those products usually to achieve some form of goals, okay, and those efforts, okay, are usually very unique, okay. The product are actually unique, okay, and there will always be a fixed time for the delivery, okay, and then so there will be a starting time, there will be ending time, so it's finite. So the work that you are delivering or the product that you're delivering, the facilities that you're delivering, in the end, it is something special, okay? I'm not saying that special as in it's something that you've never seen before, but it is very one-off. All projects are one-off deliverables, okay? It's a one-off thing, okay? So, and it's a temporary thing. All these activities, you only do it over a period of time, okay? So, example, what we mean by that, okay? So, say CNS, M&E, we are delivering hydropower plant, okay? So this hydropower plant, yes, it's not special as in, well, you've got many hydropower plants in Sarawak, you've also got many hydropower plants all over the world. Hydropower plant itself is not something that is like, wow, like, yeah, going to Mars is probably something special as in you don't really see it every day, okay? But say build a road, build a sewer treatment plant, build a water treatment plant, which involve M&E, CNS, everybody, these are one-off. So this special, unique is what we call one-off, meaning that you will not get it repeated again. And you say that, hey, God, you just say that, hydropower plants are everywhere, and road are everywhere. How can you say it's not repeated? But you see, it is unique in the sense that every project that you do, locations are different, ground conditions are different, and the distance are different, the nature of the project are different, the can be road, but the distance are different, the lanes are different, the designs are different, even if you build bridges, yes, bridges, you see bridges, but bridges crossing this river, bridges crossing that river, bridges crossing the same river, it cannot be at the same location 2 times. Even if you say that, oh, I used to have a bridge crossing here, then I'm going to be enlarging the bridge. Well, that is enlarging the bridge. You've already got an existing bridge, and the first time you build it, there is no existing bridge there. Now you want to enlarge the bridge, there is an enlargement. There is something that is already there in the first place. So it is different. So every project is unique in that sense that it is not to say that it's special as in you've never seen it before, but it is different. Okay, it is unique because it's different. A lot of conditions, a lot of the characteristics, a lot of factors surrounding the projects are different. Even the people designing, the people managing it, the people who are in the team, the workers can be different. The years are different. So it will always be different from one another. So all project is producing something that is one-off, that is unique, that is different from the last product that you built, then there will be difference. There will be different. It's just that no one human being is the same. So no one project is the same. Okay. Some of you, your siblings, you look like each other, you behave like each other, but in the end, you're still two different individuals. There will be something that is different. So same things with project. Okay, so projects are one-off. They are unique. They have their own specific functions. The product that you build or the service that you give or the results that you have, it will be addressing some form of objective, solving some form of problems, and or fulfilling some form of needs to certain individuals, certain group of individuals, or certain state, or certain people, or certain mass public. Okay, so it is unique. Okay, it is finite, meaning that a project will always have a start time, it will always have a finish time, because you need to deliver the product. It cannot be endless. It has to finish. Okay, so projects are deliverables, effort, work, activities that you need to do. Okay, that the team needs to do to create a unique service, a unique product, or unique results. Okay, and that unique product, the unique results is supposed to be serving very specific intent, very specific objectives, very specific needs. Is supposed to fulfill specific demands, specific needs to certain people, to certain group of people, or to certain individuals. Okay? And it is a very dynamic environment. Why is it dynamic? Because it's different from when you are doing a static kind of job. Static kind of job will be like, everything is pretty much fixed. SOP is pretty much fixed. You come in, you clock in, you do this. You turn on a computer, you do some, you open the file, you order the material. Some organization, some work nature, they are very fixed. Like, for example, banking. Certain like withdrawal, transfers, these things that are very fixed. The bank, grocery stores, they are very fixed. Okay, maybe restaurants, they are very fixed. The way that the SOP, the running, everything is pretty much similar day in, day out. But project, you will realize that your problems that you have in this project may be different from the problems that you have in the last project. And in a future project, you may get the same problem, or you get a mixed combination of different problems. And every day you go to work, it is not repetition. It's not routine. A project manager, when you go to site, when you go to your factory floor, or when you go to your workplace, essentially you will be looking at things that are consistently moving. So we are not really, our job are not cross-sectional. It's actually longitudinal. It's like you are going through, there is a time period attached to it. Okay, cross-sectional means that you cut it and you fix it at the step frame and you understand that frame. So project management is not cross-sectional. Project management can be cross-sectional, as in at certain point in time you do certain things, but the whole thing has to be going against the timeline. So because of the time factor attached to it, because there is a deadline, because you have to fulfill certain deadlines and you have to finish it at certain deadlines, and give the whole product that is multidimensional to the audience or to the people that demands it, or to the people that needs it, it has to be finished over a period of time. So with that time in the section, it becomes 4Ds in that sense. Okay, so then that makes the management of project a lot more dynamic. And you also get multiple project. Usually you will not get just one group of people working on it. So you will have multiple disciplinary, group of people working on it. You in every project you may have you have engineers, you've got architects, or you have QSs, you've got government agency, you've got authorities, you've got laws, you've got regulations, you've got public, there's multiple people, multiple group of people, stakeholders, we call it, that has interest in the project, that will be affected by the project, end of the day, that will be affected by the solution that you give at the end of the day. So these are the unique characteristics of a project. So all engineers, like it or not, you are not doing general management. You are not doing a day in, day out cross-sectional thing. Okay? You are doing day in, day out, very longitudinal, very dynamic sort of in that very dynamic sort of environment, solving problem, making decision, creating the product, as you go along, in the end, meeting the needs, the product or service or the results will meet the need of the people that you are serving, or the public that you are, doing the work for, or the client that actually needs the work to make money and all that sort of things. So there's different objectives here that try to be met. So, like it or not, we engineers, we are on projects. If you're FNE, you're also on projects. Okay? You're building transmission tower, you're building hydropower plant, you are building, manufacturing, you are also doing projects, because yes, it looks like day in, day out, you're managing, the factory line is running, you're producing the product, but product here, you produce 100 of them, you will finish, and then the next client comes, they will give you another product to do, or it could be the same product in a different quantity, same product that you have to sell to different country, to meet different requirements and all that kind of thing. So, you are essentially working on project. Okay? So you have to understand, all engineer, that's why engineering management, it cannot run away from project management. There will always be a course on project management, because that is what you do. This is your bread and butter. CNS, no need to say already. You open your eyes here, day in, day out, you go to sleep, is the project. Projects, even multiple projects, going through, different projects, and then you finish it after 3 years, you move on to the next project. Like, let's say some of you are in art, some of you who are in the Pan-Borneo Highway, and now Pan-Borneo Highway is finishing up already. Then you move on to another project. It could be another road from Kapit to somewhere. It could be Kuching to somewhere. It could be Samarahan to somewhere. So it's, yes, you are still road projects, but essentially the locations are different, the geographical conditions are different, the weather are different, the people are different, the needs are different, the product itself is targeting at a different audience, is affecting different economy, is affecting different social group of people. You see, so it is different. So CNS, very easy for us to understand. That's why all CNS will have project management classes. So understand what is the project first, okay? All right. So then there are many type of projects. Like I say, there are aerospace, defense. In the old days, you basically is talking about defense and military. Most projects are that. If you look at China 5,000 years ago, you look at Egypt 3,000 years ago. You look at all these old civilization. China, Egypt, Euphrates, I don't know, Greece, essentially they are already doing projects, okay? Right. So, but most of the projects at that point in time, they are all focusing on defense systems, like, the fort, the war, the war surrounding the villages, the war surrounding the civilizations, and then they built towers that can actually defend themselves from enemies, etc. So projects, defense is definitely projects. Okay, then you will also have like CNS projects, of course, constructing facilities, constructing buildings, constructing houses. So from military, slowly we move into projects that are for the civilians, for the use of civilians, like the road, like in the Qing dynasty, once they finish conquering the 7 states, like the stories. I don't know how good is history, but conquering all the 7 states in unified China, the first emperor actually go on into massive construction of roads, and palaces and all that, and they, do like definitely roads because he wants to be able to, connect different parts of his country that they can move in, move out. People can move in, move out very fast. Then slowly, you need to look after the needs of people. People finishing war, they come back, they need to have a house to stay, they need to have a place to stay. They need to have land to work on to make a living and do agricultural things, and some of them are involved in construction, etc., etc. So project actually just kind of like manifest as they go along from defense, military, from protecting a group of civilization against nature, against external enemies, And finally, when peacetime comes, you are looking at more into infrastructure, water, irrigation systems, I think if you look at many, many great, very specific projects around the world, not to say just Great War, but irrigation systems, river management systems, and drainage, and hydro and power plant and all that, even building cars, building factories, in the industrialization. I think M&E, people with, you counting a lot of industrialization, so when cars are built, nobody is running on horses anymore. But even if you talk about M&E in the old days, not much of the E, but M is definitely, mechanical are always there. When people build carriage, when people build horse carriage, that transport them to war and all that. Those are M&E engineers, so they are all there. So like it actually evolved around it. So then after that, we talk about civil. So when you talk about defense military engineering, then we go on and talk about, even at that time when you build bridges and all that, it's really for defense, it's really for hacking and all that. Then after that, we move into people civilization, becoming more and more peaceful. You need to have, production, you need to have, food, you need to have all these things. So everything, to make people's life better, civil, mechanical, all these people are coming in more and more. So the word civil engineering actually comes from the fact that you're building these facilities for the civilians. Okay, so projects can be at that level, producing energy. Now we talk about energy production, we talk about AIs, we talk about, building servers, we talk about automation. Yeah, so all these are projects as well. Okay? So then we also got IT projects, we've also got communication, with even events, can also be considered as media events. All these things are also part of projects as well. We can call them project as well. And some chemical engineers, you work on, petroleum, you work on new products, you work on medicine, I don't know what else you work on, it's like biomedical, M&E nowadays, a lot of them also come to biomedical. You build robotic arms, you build robots, you build cars that no need people to drive in. These are all very interesting projects, that is in the newer age. So, like I said, there's many possibilities, but as long as it fulfills that uniqueness, that one-off, that different, that need a team of people working together, that dynamic environment, and there's a timeline to fulfilling, the to get the end product. Like for example, Elon Musk said that we're going to Mars. So that is a project, because if it's an engineering project, because it needs multiple disciplinary, you need aerospace, you need scientists, you need engineers, you need mechanical engineers, you need civil engineers, you need electrical engineers, you need aerospace, you need defense, you need authority. It's many aspects, and then going to Mars is not like something that you will do every day kind of thing, for now. So it's very unique, it's very one-off, it's actually very special. And then he also said that we need to finish this when, like 2026 or 2028, or when we set on Mars, and that kind of thing. So these are all, like even that is also a project. So I hope you understand the concept. Okay. Right. So then when you have Mr. Project, you already understand your project. Then we look at mismanagement. Okay, the Mrs. management here. So we want to cover them, right now. So project. Another one is management. Okay. So management actually is a science. It's also a science. It's actually, for me, it's a framework. It's a system. The system thinking is a way you think. It's the way that you create processes. Okay, and there is a framework that you need to know. Okay, so management comprises of type of framework of thinking that is systematic, that allows you to move your resources towards a certain goal. Okay, so if you say it's a knowledge, it's not wrong also. If you say it's a science, it's not wrong also. If you say it's an art, it's not wrong also, because within management, you are dealing with people, you're dealing with many aspects of things, so cannot be also so stagnant in that sense. It's not something so fixed. It's not cross-sectional. It's actually multi-dimensional. So I can put it, if you want to put it in a very simple, straightforward way, I would say it's a framework. It's a framework of knowledge, thinking, and tools, that is combined together, that create this form of science that will actually take human, it will actually take resources that is available and achieve the goals that you set up, and which is the product that you want to achieve. Okay. Can we actually? Sorry, can I actually just take a 5 minutes break? Because I need to. I'm not feeling very well with my stomach suddenly. So can we take a 5 minutes break? Okay. Then you guys go and grab yourself a coffee. Then we'll come back in about 5 minutes. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Are we back?
Okay.
Sorry for the sudden rush. Yeah, I've been having a bit of I don't know, it's not really diarrhea, but it's something that is not comfortable. It just comes suddenly. Apologies, and I forgot to mute my mic just now. My daughter just came to me and said, "Mommy, you didn't mute your mic." I'm like, "Oh dear, so embarrassing." Okay. Mm. Okay, right. Let's go on. Don't mind, you didn't see my face. It's okay. We all do embarrassing things once in a while. Okay, so let's go on the topic of management now. Huh? So management actually, I don't know, I feel like management is the framework is actually very straightforward. Okay, it's just basically these 5 functions. Okay, so when
Sorry,
we talk
Doctor.
about key functions of management, if this is sorry.
We cannot see the
Hello?
screen.
Oh, now you cannot see the screen. Yeah. Oh, that's why I didn't unmute. I gotta unshare the screen. I know. Okay. All right. Actually, unshare the screen, and I thought that I muted myself. Oh dear. Okay, so you got the screen now. Can see now, huh?
Can.
Okay. Okay. Right. So planning. Okay. So basically, like I say, if you think about management, it's like a framework. A framework that is having processes, that is having systems, that is having tools. A system and actions and tools and activities that will actually be combined together to form a system, and that system can actually help you to move your resources towards the product that you're looking at. Okay, to do in the end, or the to the product, either to achieve that product. So if you look at the words here, it's pretty much like parallel with the word project. Project is in the end, you are doing effort, you're doing an endeavors, you see. So that endeavors is actually besides the activity, the physical activities that you need to do, partially part of the other 50% of the effort is management. Okay, so you see, applying management towards a project, okay, because management itself is also a system. Is that there is tools and functions and everything that will move your resources towards that project. And project itself, towards that product. And project itself is actually, effort, activities, work that needs to be done. So that work will actually sync with the work, the activities of management as well. So there are some very physical kind of work, very practical kind of work, like for example, go and dig, go and pour the concrete, go and bend the bars, go and fabricate the steels, go and obtain the raw material. So those are very practical activities. So project also has very practical activities that needs to be done in order for you to get the final product. Functions of management is there are processes that will make use of all these resources that is available and move the effort towards that product. Well, okay. So if you think of them as two parallel person, like two parallel walking person. If you look at the science behind it, it's a two parallel walking person. Project and management, they are two walking person. It's like okay, two system here, two effort here. One is focusing on more of a practical effort. One is focusing more on the, managerial effort. Okay, so they are together. So they're working together. They are all wanting to do one thing to reach the final product. Okay, so in the end, they join hands. They go in, they fall in love. And then they feel like, oh, me as a project, I have physical activities. I've got a lot of things that I need to do. There's so many things that I need to worry about, and so many things that, so many physical activities that I need to think about, so many technical items that I need to think about for me to get to my goals. But now I bring on management, the functions of management, the effort, the process, the tools of management. And I make use of management, and management is going to be my partner now. And both of us in charge of two different things, but combining these two different things, and then we move towards the project. Move towards the product. Okay, so in a way, the whole circle is complete. So it's like a partnership. It's like adding into one another. That's why I always call it marriage. It's just not a regular partnership. It's a very in-depth partnership whereby both of you are contributing towards that one goal, towards that one product. In terms of marriage, it would be a family, for example. In terms of engineering, it will be these two persons, these two entities, these two systems come together. One is in charge of more the physical aspect, one is in charge of more the guiding of the resources, the processes and steps and all that, to look after the steps and all these sort of things for us to actually go towards that particular product. This is like when you have organization, you've got two partners here, and these two partners are working so well together. They want the best for the organization. They want to deliver profit to the organization. They want to deliver profit to the stakeholders. Same concept. Okay. I mean, this is something that I kind of like, after years and years of teaching, I kind of see that, as the mission in research in this. I think when we go to the in-depth of management and project, this is like that. Okay. So we cannot do without project, cannot do without management. It's already going to be very deep in that partner. But like I said, the idea of management also materialized a little bit more in the past 20 years, because previously, earlier on, people are more focusing on the practicality of things. Projects are smaller, the product are less complicated, and less dynamics, less multidimensional, less multidisciplinary. Like when you want to build a bridge, it's a small bridge. When you want to build a road, it's 2 lanes. Our country are developing. So projects are actually, the quantum is a lot smaller. The ideas and the concepts are a lot smaller. So maybe that time you really don't need too much of management, maybe. But then as we progresses, things gets more and more complicated. Management realize a lot more. Okay, but having to say that, it is not really completely true as well that management is also coming into something very new that you come in like in the past 20 years. It's just that people are putting more and more attention. People are really exploring the knowledge, the processes that are available in management for them to make good use of it. It's being recorded, kind of thing. You don't tell me. If I'm not sure if you've been to, if you've ever been to like seeing some of the massive construction around the world, for example, in the old days. I mean, anyone of you visit Egypt before? Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, when you see the pyramid of Egypt, you still wonder like, how did they do it? You see. And have you visited Great Wall before? I think some of you probably have visited Great Wall before. Okay. Have you visited anyone of you visit Three Gorges Dam before? I mean, like, if you really think about it, in the old days, 5,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, before BC, actually management is there already. When people build palaces, when people build irrigation systems, it may be they, there is no specific terms called engineering. Okay, but the effort is there. So when people wants to upgrade in, when people are building a Great Wall, please don't tell me that, please don't tell me that there's no management there. You see, it's impossible. When to build it, how to build it, the methods. Don't tell me that it's coming from space. I mean, it's coming from aliens. It's not. Okay, there are human labor. There are laborers involved. How do you transport, stones, big stones? If you go to Angkor Wat, you imagine 14 something, 13 something, stones are being transported from some mountains all the way to the site and build it. Because when you build places of cultural, of religion, people choose places like, that is connected with heaven and earth and that kind of thing, so, but the resources, the material and everything can be from different places. The wood can be from different places. The trees are from different places. If you go to Christmas Island, you can see all these huge statues. How did they get there? So you see, the missing link was actually management. People at that time do it, but it's not recorded in that sense. And then people nowadays, historians and engineers like us, or engineering historians, maybe working it out. How did they do that? Can we go back and retrace on the fact that how did they manage? If you look at all the great 7 wonders of the world, okay, and some of the massive, no need to be 7 wonders of the world. You just look at Angkor Wat, you can see that, like how on earth, there's going to be like at least thousands of people working on the thing at the same time. If you look at Pyramid of Egypt, you're looking at about, I think some historians say maybe at the one point in time, there may be about 5,000 people, thousands of people, thousands of labor. How do you make sure that everybody knows what they are doing? What are the parts that they are doing? How do you know where they should stand? What they should do, where they should stand, and what things that they must take out, and do, and all that kind of thing. That alone, the coordination of the work alone is already mind-boggling. And you don't want to think about the logistic of things. How on earth are you going to get a ton, like a huge, at that time, there's no machinery, there's no like sanding machine, no cutting machine, no hydraulic jack, cut the stones into square, long, rectangular pieces, smoothing it out. What do you mean by pestle and mortar? All kind of things. So much of missing information here. And transporting by river, how? But, like getting these pieces is not like, guys can go up there, and, like, uncut it down from the mountain. And they will say, the king will say that I need it from this mountain. This is the most sacred mountain, and want to do it with this mountain. Then they have to pick up from those mountains and then go and, send it to like what, 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, hundreds of kilometers away from the actual site of the resources. Okay, logistic, transportation, how to manage, coordinate people. Okay, the reward systems, the punishment systems of the labor, the workers, how are they paid? And okay, you can say that, oh, Dr. Ting, don't worry, at that time they don't pay, they just cut off heads if people don't perform. Yeah, true, very true. But what about food? People cannot eat, no need to eat, no need to drink. The minimum that you have to give your workers is food, right? Okay, so for them to do your work for you. So how do you coordinate? No pay is okay, but no food can. So logistically of getting food to the people every day for them to continue working for 10 years, 5 years on a specific project, mind-boggling. So I'm not saying that management is not there, it's only there 20 years ago. Yep, project management and management exists in universities maybe about 20, 30 years. I mean, Malaysia a bit slower, but overseas maybe 30, 40 years ago. Okay. And it's getting more and more hot, there's more and more things that is being recorded. Put in papers, put in archive, experiences, papers, scholarly articles, researchers that look into management, etc., etc. But what happened is 5,000 years ago, there is management already. Management in the palace, management in terms of construction of the palace, management in terms of construction of the tomb, even, the biggest tomb in the world. How do you construct those tombs? Some of them are massive engineering feats. You can't even go that far. It's Leonardo da Vinci, all those European churches. How on earth do you build them? Methodology, the methodology, the manpower, the machinery, the logistics. Okay, those are management. Those are moving those resources. It's so grand, it looks so beautiful. It's still standing in this, at this stage. These things are not badly, shabbily done, So equally, there must be some people who are really good, and managerially, there must be some people who are really good as well. It's just that at that time, maybe there's no actual record of the knowledge of management. There may be some knowledge recorded on the drawings and on the technical things because, that there are drawings, at the time people will sketch, and maybe there's some documentation on people. That means engineering. But architecture, engineering, they may be recorded, but it is not recorded the intangible aspects, and that is the management, because it's as equally important. Like I said, you can have the people, you can have the drawings, you can have the technical know-how, you can do the connection, people can create a lot of engineering things, and record them, regions that don't have any connection to it, I mean, the Leonardo Bridge, I think if you search online, it's one of the wonders creation as well. People build temples, people build religious places, people build palaces, people build houses, people do irrigation, agriculture, irrigation, people do flood management, China flood management, all the rivers around the world, all the population, all the civilization are mostly based on rivers, and flood management is one. Flood control, I wouldn't say the word management, flood control is one of the biggest issues. So all of these are being managed. But unfortunately, record of things being managed are not very well documented, and therefore it is missing. And therefore, young generations, we're thinking like, oh, management is something new, but it's actually not. Okay? So functions of management is like the processes, these are the tools. These are the, I would say tools and techniques are very physical, very tangible. But we talk about functions, we talk about processes, we talk about system. Okay, these are the basic framework of management. So management functions consist of planning, organizing, coordinating, directing, controlling, monitoring, controlling, corrective action. So this is the earliest record of what management do. Management needs to plan, management needs to organize, management needs to direct, execute the work, management needs to control, monitor and control, and do corrective action. So planning. So like I say, in the old days, we don't really see plans. We don't see records of plan, of management plan, and therefore we don't know. But now we know. We will we will force our engineers, not to say force our engineers, but our engineers have to learn how to set specific goals, how to look at the project environment and understand what is going on, understand the problem itself, understand the solution. I mean, before you can go to the solution, you must understand the problems and the issues and the surrounding factors that will affect, that causes the problem, that creates the needs and that creates the demand. And therefore, when we want to create the solution, okay, we will need to go through all this, and then track on what should be done and when it should be done and how it should be done. So you talk about methods, you talk about who and what is more like what needs to be there. Okay, in order to achieve this solution, we must know we need engineers, we need labor, we need resources, we need certain specialists, we need suppliers to coordinate with us, we need who and what. We need some special technique, we need some special machineries, and where can we get them, and then what is the time frame to arrive at the solution. So these are planning. Okay, so we will take time. We need to take time to plan. Okay, then we will organize those resources. You see, when we plan, it's on paper. Okay, so when we organize, it's about taking action. It's about informing, like confirming on the who, what, and all that. It's confirming on a plan. Then you are putting together the resources. Okay, the machine needs to be in when, the labor needs to be 100 of them. They needs to be placed in certain workers' quarters. They need to be arriving when, when is the project starting. So you are actually translating those plans into activities. Okay, activities of putting them together. Okay, and it's like on your mark, get set. So organizing is the get set bit. So you're getting ready, getting your resources ready and your people ready. You're getting the standards all done. The designs, are done. You're organizing, like I said, the main thing is about putting things together. I mean, that is a word that I can use that I think, is actually relevant. So it's like putting things together. Okay. And then what happened is when everything is ready, okay, they are ready. People know their role. The machinery guy knows that I'll be arriving on site when. Okay, I'll be working here for the next 12 months. Okay, the mobile cranes are ready, all in place. Getting ready. It's about getting ready. So you're organizing. Organizing not only about telling people, oh, you used to be here, when, or all that. So this organization is about putting a plan, the stage whereby you're transiting from the plan on paper. You're transiting, you're making an effort of transitioning it into action. Okay, so in between here, yes, you have action, okay, but this action is not the execution kind of action. The actual work is not done yet, meaning you're not running yet, but you are actually doing some activities that will put people together, put things together. People need to understand, contract needs to be signed, order needs to be made, and these are all some of the, you can call it background work for the concept to begin, kind of thing. Yeah. So now you have a concept plan, then you have in between organizing whereby you're putting things up, online, you're putting things up, on you're telling people, your lighting needs to be here, your machinery needs to be here, your equipment needs to be here. When you sign contract with them, you confirm, you give orders, you do procurement, etc., etc. So that on the day itself when the work is ongoing, the actual physical work will go on, everything is ready. So this organization is basically activities that will that is needed, to actually translate the plan to the actual task, to the actual activities. It's the transition phase whereby you are informing, you're putting people together, you're informing on tasks, you're informing on authority, you're doing design, you're doing procurement, etc. So these are that transitional phase. Okay, so it's about putting people together, it's about setting up, it's about deciding who to do what and what is the responsibility, what is the standard of performance and all that. And delegation, so these are all the words that are related to organizing. Then we have directing. Part of directing, part of execution is coordinating, because you've got a lot of resources there available, so you need to coordinate them. Who to move first, who is coming in next, who is parallel, who is sequential, and some activities are sequential, some machinery can come in later, some machinery has to go in first, when you need to coordinate, without coordination, execution will be a mess. Okay, so there will be, in this stage, we normally call it execution stage, and that involves coordination, communicating, it involves the work itself to be done. So that direction that you're giving for the work to be completed. So you need to get the physical activities ongoing during the coordination bit of things. Okay. Execution involving coordination and directing and actual execution of the physical activities, the physical work has to be done. Okay, so that involves handling, that involves making sure that all the necessary physical work to be carried out. So this part is not hard to understand. It's basically execute. If you say on the mark, that's it, go is the part that people are running already, people are swimming already, the actual physical activities are ongoing already. But in between there, in the mix of that, there is a level of coordination, there's a level of motivation, there's a level of directing that needs to be done for the people to actually continue, for the team to actually continue to do the physical activity and do it well. See? So execution is like that. Okay, it's about controlling, it's about coordinating, it's about moving, it's about motivating, it's about moving, like moving. Okay, working activities ongoing. Then we've got monitoring. Monitoring is whereby a lot of engineers, your job also involves, majorly a lot of you are involved in monitoring, because monitoring is about recording data, recording results from site, recording results from your project, recording data, so for you to actually do controlling. So when you actually don't do monitoring, you can't do controlling, because there's no proper record of the data. The examples that I like to give that is really understandable for everybody is nurses and doctors. When you have nurses, they do monitoring. So when let's say I'm at a hospital, with a fever, for example, the doctor would not know exactly what's wrong with me, so they will also kind of guess, they will also give me medicine. That is execution, correct or not? Okay, so execution, I take medicine, I put in drip IV, to control my fever. Then the nurses is going to come in and say that, every 2 hours they will come in and they will record her temperature, is this much, her BP is this much, Then after that, they go back. 4 hours later, they come back with the medicine that's prescribed by the doctor. So you take the medicine, and then 2 hours later, they come back again and they do monitoring. So monitoring is mainly a very routine kind of recording of data and recording of the execution phase. Then doctors will come in to do the controlling. So if you see my temperature going up and down within these 12 hours, 24 hours, but there's a good sign of it moving down, then the doctor will say, okay, I think the medicine is working, let's continue. So that's controlling. But if let's say my temperature are spiking every 4 hours and it's not doing any good, then basically the doctor said, I think she needs something else. She may need a surgery, she may need she may need additional antibiotics or whatever. So the doctor will prescribe corrective action, and that is controlling. So controlling is to bring the performance back to the original direction, to the original goal. Okay, so I hope you guys understand the functions of management. This is very quick for us to actually go through this with you. Corrective action is that you identify the variance, then you understand the variance and why it should be that way, and then possibilities of making things, bringing back whatever that is differentiating or deviating from the original intended management plan to where it belongs, where it's supposed to be, then we're doing corrective action. So we go through that circle, the circle of management. So it's always about, the framework is always about plan, do, check, act. So plan, do is this organizing and coordinating. 2, 3 basically is here. Check, controlling and monitoring, and corrective action is to do the action that will bring it back to the original plan. And we continue to do that, we continue to improve, and then this circle will move upwards, uphill as we go along, and that is where we talk about continuous improvement. Okay, improving the systems, making sure the next project will have better systems, and then you use the systems, and that is how management improve and improve and improve our project processes in the project. Okay, so basically, I hope you understand the concept of management now. So management, like I said, is a knowledge, is a framework. It's a framework of knowledge that create system processes, combine the system of processes, tools, techniques. That main point for management is to concentrate and focus the resources to carry out the activities, the physical activities that is in project, processes that will take the resources, organize those resources for them to carry out those activities that is needed, okay, that is necessary for you to move towards the final goal. And the final goal is our product. Okay, so I think I mentioned this just now. Combine, you applying management into the physical activities in the project. So, the knowledge, the tools, the skills, and all that into project activities or project activities. Project is like a execution bit of things. Okay, it's like the activities is like the moving on, move on. But this move on, if you don't apply management, if you don't guide your resources correctly, this moving will be very ad hoc. It will be like, suka hati kamu buat apa, suka lah hati aku kind of thing, So it's not supposed to be like that. So that's why project needs management. It needs to have the application of those that framework of planning, of organizing your resources, your execution of activities, controlling and monitoring in order for you to execute those activities within the project to move. The circle will move. You imagine project, the management is that circle, the ball, it will roll and it will move and it will push the activities of the project forward. Okay, forward towards the final product. So the areas that we will usually manage in general, project management are stakeholder, procurement, risk, communication, resources, quality. You know, if you look at PM box, they talk about these things. But because project management not only applies to engineering, it also applies to IT, it also applies to international, I mean, like, for example, if you talk about Olympic, it's also a project. It's a 4-year, one-time kind of project. So sports to events, you know, these are all to wedding even, you know, to event management, you know, to parties, all these are management. Okay. I mean, so all these are projects, that needs management. So not all the time. So this one in this PM board, we put project management body of knowledge. Normally they just recommend this, you know, so the knowledge is this. But for engineering, we are taking those knowledge and put it more closer, the processes, the steps and the activities, the tools and techniques that are very engineering. Because our activities are engineering. Our activities is not event, it's not a wedding, it's not you know, it's not Olympic, it's not sports, but our activities are facilities, products, services that will actually needs to be constructed, needs to be produced, needs to be delivered, you know, to be used by people, okay, to enhance their life. So that is engineering. So you see, we take PM board, we base on PM board. PM board is only a foundation, but the knowledge that we use in project management is purely for engineering. So with time management, schedule management, time management, we're talking about engineering activities and how to manage engineering activities, time and duration and all that. We talk about cost, we talk about budget, we talk about budget that is based on engineering activities such as pouring concrete, such as, you know, installing valves, such as, you know, tightening the screws, you know, these are all engineering activities, and the cost of that, and the cost of the people, the cost of the machinery, the cost of the material that is needed to construct, to actually deliver the product. Those are cost management. Quality management, ours is also very specific. It's, you know, people in manufacturing, they have a set of quality management style or tools and techniques. So those that is in engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, they also have a certain aspect, certain standards, certain rules, certain regulations that, you know, governs quality management. Resources, our resources are all in engineering. Our communication, our words, you know, our background are all in engineering. So our communication are engineering terms, you know, engineering work, engineering activities, you know, engineering terminologies, you know. Risk is the same. Risk management can be applied to finance, to economics, to, you know, to space project, to military project, you know, to ocean, you know, to nature. A lot of things can apply risk management. But for engineering, we're very specific towards those engineering activities that we are executing for our project, and we're trying to manage the risk in those projects. Okay. Procurement is the same. We are purchasing things that are related to our project. Okay, not just anything. If you're running a kitchen, your procurement will be buying vegetables, buying meat, buying, you know, equipment like refrigerators, the baking machines, oven, and all that. Those are procurement for a restaurant. But procurement for civil engineering, for engineering, we're talking about machinery procurement, we're talking about labor procurement, we're talking about material procurement. You know, very specific to engineering. It's very specific to the project that we are embarking on. It could be a building project, it could be a structure project, it could be a road project, it could be a sewerage project, it could be a traffic and transport project, it could be a highway project, it could be, you know, treatment plant, it could be raw water intake tank, it could be hydropower treatment plant, it could be transmission towers, it could be roofing, you know, systems and all that. So our procurement is based on our engineering product, our engineering activity. So it's project based. So it's for project procurement management, project management, and our stakeholders and integrating all these parts together. So this is a 10 area of knowledge that we are looking at. Okay. Right. So I think that basically concludes the part one of our class, part one now, which is on the condensation. Is that where I'm trying to condense the basic knowledge of why we are in engineering management. We need to do the topic of project management. Okay, because mostly all our work are project based. Okay, so project, there's a few things that is very concerning to us as a project. Means the mark of success are scope, time, cost, quality. Okay, and I don't think, I'm not sure how good are you with this triangle thing. In the end, scope is right at the center. That's why we talk about scope management. As soon as we are getting hot up in the subject, after I've gone through all the basic knowledge and all this sort of terminology about project management. Basically, scope management is going to come popping up right in next class will be scope management. But do you realize that this word scope itself is what we'll be talking about for the whole morning? Basically, every product is a scope. So when we talk about fulfilling the scope, fulfilling the product, it's the same thing. Okay? Every product that you build, every facilities that you build, every service that you do is a product. If that product is that facilities, that facilities comprises of components, subcomponents, subcomponents that will make up to the facilities that you are building. And this is all these components, subcomponent is the product is the scope. Okay? So the time that is needed for the scope, the cost that is needed to complete the scope, the scope must have certain level of quality standards that it adheres to, certain regulation that it adheres to for the continuation use of the facilities over a long period of time or the specific life cycle. Is pretty much the complete target that, as project manager, this is what our aim is. Actually, we want to deliver that product. We want to deliver that scope. So scope is in the middle. Okay, this is a central focus. Everybody, whatever that you do, you are actually wanting to deliver the scope successfully, meaning to deliver the product successfully. So scope management is the first thing. And in fact, like I said, project management, managing project, applying the functions of management into projects are essentially what is the target here? What is the aim here? Talk about it right to the center focus and not beat around the bush is to deliver that scope that you determine. And that scope is what is that scope? The scope is how do you come up with the scope? The scope is supposed to be solving some problems. The scope is supposed to be fulfilling some needs. The scope is supposed to be fulfilling some demands. Market. It could be a house, like I said, it could be a development project, it could be a factory producing new equipment, or a factory producing baja, a factory producing rice. These are the purpose is to, for us engineers is to deliver that scope. Yes, you can deliver the scope, but if you're running out of budget, if you're running out of time, delays, it's not a good news. That means even though in the end we finish our project, to deliver that product, we did not do it well. That is the essential bit of things. Okay, so scope is very important. So then when we talk about we call it constraint now, but actually these are what we call critical success factor of project. So because project is the process of delivering the scope, delivering the product, and we want to do it. When we have limitation, that is to deliver the product well. What is success? Well, to differentiate between good and bad, we want to have it delivered on time, within the budget, and with the standards, within the standards that is required. So that is what we call triple constraint or the triangle, the famous 3 triangles and all that. Okay. Then of course, quality is usually about being able to do the thing it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be fit for its intended purpose. It's supposed to last the time that you think that you design it to last, and basically, like this example here, if you want to build a bridge across the bay, this is a scope of work. This is the components and all that. This is a scope, and scope of works is different now. I will talk about that in scope management later. Then quality, it has to be 6 lane. It has to carry, hundreds, thousands of cars every day. It has to be being able to use standing up there. Rain, hail, wind, shine, tornado comes, it should be standing for our next 100 of years. That is quality. You have to finish this within 4 years. That is a time limit, and it has to be 2.7 million. That is a total fund that is required for the project. And this is how you mark whether a project manager is doing a good job or not. Okay. So yeah, like I say, if this is a smaller project, then the time is different, the work is different, the lifespan is different, the funding is different, the purpose is different. So different project, different constraint, different limitation on time, cost, quality. But in the end, like I say, the central focus here is we want to deliver the scope, because the scope is important. The scope is the one that will do the job. This scope is the one that will fulfill the needs. It will solve the problems. It will meet the demands. Okay. So this is what we are going through in terms of one, the basic. Okay, so I think some of this, what does a project manager do and what is project stakeholder, individual that will actually be affected by the project, they will be affected by the decision and outcome and final product. So all stakeholders is what it means. I think Dr. Lee will explain that a little bit more in stakeholder management later on. So some stakeholders are internal, some stakeholders are external. So some of the basic terminology that we always see in project management. Stakeholders will actually have impact on the project. That's why stakeholder has to be here, because client has the impact. Client started the project, designer designed the project, contractor builds the project, builders build the project, suppliers supply the material. At the end of the day, the product is being used by human, by people, by society, by certain group of people, by children, by adults, and they have to contribute something. They have to fulfill certain objectives, such as number one, it could be demand for something, it could be needs, it could be market, it could be solving some problems. Okay, so this is what engineering is all about. And project stakeholders are the ones that will actually have impact on the project, and some of them will be impacted by the projects. This is something that we need to look into when we are managing our project. The needs and desire and the want of our stakeholders is equally important. So project manager, what skills you should have and all that. I think for me, is always the principle is very clear. We do not want, all engineers should know that our role as a professional are engineers. We engineers for QSs of professionals. Basically, engineering management class. So I would say we are engineers. Just no offense to the people who are not engineers, but let's say engineers. Our profession is to deliver products and facilities that is good, solve problems and fulfill the needs and demands of the market and the public. Okay. So it should be safe to use. So we have professional responsibilities. We also have clients who we should be acting as faithful agent to. So you see, our dual role is sometimes that is confusing, and that is making and that is making our action and decision making a little bit difficult, But I think we stick to the principle of we as a professional, whether we are project manager, or whether we're just project engineers, or whether we're just a supervisor on the site, our decision making is always should be focusing on problem solving. What is the gist of the problem? Don't go and blame people. Don't go and talk about what is not good. It's not the point. The point is what is the problem and what needs to be done. Solve the problem. And then while you're solving the problem, the ruler here is balance. You want to balance time, you want to balance cost, you want to balance quality, you want to balance regulations, you want to balance stakeholders, you want to have a win-win situation for everybody. I think as long as we base on these two principles here that, main thing is we look at the issues, we look at the problem, don't look at people, look at the problem, that look at the issues in hand. And we solve that issue, we want to bring solution to that issues, we want to have balance. And the balance is not about sacrificing certain people, making certain people win, making our client win and making the contractor loss, making the supplier lose money and then making or making the government lose money so that certain individual can have more money. It's not like that. It's always about balance, win-win situation. I think as long as we base on that principle, I think the rest is very natural. The rest is very natural. It's about, it's about your leadership, it's about your team, it's about your communication, it's all part and parcel about, if you base it on those principles, you cannot go wrong. All of these skills will come very naturally to you as a part of the project manager. When your basic core, your first principles is correct, and your first principles is always problem solving, it's always about balancing, it's always about being able to find a solution that can actually bring about good result to everybody, or at least not make it really bad for some people and make it really good for some people. It should be balanced. So I think that is our core first principles towards engineering problem solving. And if we do that, I think the whole being, your whole idea, you don't need to learn, you don't need to go and have specific course about learning how to be an engineer, it's like these personal skills and all that. I think this character and all that, it will all form, you will all build accordingly. Okay, right. So this is what we have in the first part of our basic lecture. I mean, like the foundation lecture of project. Okay. I want to bring your attention to project life cycle. Okay. I want to bring your attention to project life cycle. So you understand, our job is executing project to get product, project and then product. Okay, the project is working towards that product. The project has a life cycle. Okay? So meaning that project will start from somewhere and it will end from somewhere. Okay? So it will go through from the start to completion of what we call project life cycle. Okay? So these are phases that all project will have to go through for you to arrive at the product. Okay, so the moment you arrive at the product is in use. Okay, it's in maintenance. You can there will be overlapping of that big year of the project life cycle with the product life cycle. Product life cycle will start off from the usage, operation, and then follow on by years of being in operation. Then after that, in between there's maintenance, and then until the end of the product life cycle, meaning that you need to demolish it, you need to renovate it, you need to improve it to another purpose, and that is the end of the product life cycle, which is also the end of the project life cycle. Okay, so normally when we look at project life cycle, I would like to go from the very beginning until the very end, which means the end of the product life cycle. So, so which is bigger, project or product? Basically, project will have a product is always bigger because you can have a very big product that requires many projects carried out. Okay, but the activities itself, the knowledge of project life cycle will also encompass product life cycle. If you can get the gist of things. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's like saying that chicken and egg and chicken doesn't matter. Okay, so I mean, just understand the terms that we're using here, project and product. And so project life cycle is about phases that the project will pass through from the inception all the way to the completion, meaning that the delivery of the product itself. Okay, but of course it can go beyond. Beyond meaning that there will be projects that will actually be in the maintenance, the operation, and there will be projects that will be coming into recycle and renovate it as well. So the project life cycle, it will also end at the same time as the product life cycle. But every project, I mean, every product can have many different project life cycles, you know, for it to finish its product. Finish to meet the end of the product life cycle. Basically, if we look at cars, for example, okay, product, when the car is built, that is the product. So the product life cycle is whereby the car will be in use, it's been built, it came out of the factory, really fresh, go to the showroom, being bought by people. The product life cycle started when the car is in operation, when you can turn on the ignition and you can drive. Okay, so all the way to 10 years, 15 years of the product lifespan. And then maybe the car is going to be changed to another purpose. Maybe you'll be driven down to Sword River and drown it. You can do that. So that will be the end of the product life cycle. Or you can tanam it, and bury it, in the rubbish yard, or dismantle it, and then or you can sell it off, and that new person can actually change the engine. There's a lot of cars, old cars, heritage cars, or we call it like what, vintage cars. Vintage, not heritage. Vintage car, people will take off the engine, they will put in new engine stuff, they will keep the whatever. So product life cycle basically is the end of the usage, and when you change it to another purpose, just end of the product life cycle. So product life cycle is always determined. When you build something, you determine the product life cycle. You want it to be 10 years, like Regis engineering products, you want it to be 50 years, 100 years even. Okay. Normally, it doesn't go up to more than 100 years. Normally, if we have product that will be 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, that's pretty good actually. But then again, with engineering material getting more and more advanced, I think we do have products that will actually go beyond 50, beyond 60, beyond 80, even 100 years is really quite okay. But in between all the maintenance, all the operation, all the cleaning up, and all these replacements of parts, of parts of the facilities, like manhole, additional pavement, additional whatever. These are all part and parcel of the product life cycle. Okay, and it's also part and part of the project life cycle. So if you talk about a project life cycle, the front bit up to the completion is always very easy to understand. But the overlapping bit whereby you have the maintenance that is on the product itself, some people will call it last phases of the project life cycle, or it could be the product life cycle. Okay, so that is the difference between product and project. So basically, we're talking about project life cycle here, because why do I want to go through project life cycle with you? You're thinking like, what's the point? The point here is, if you look at the project life cycle, you will see the need of managing different parts of the project life cycle. And the different part of the project life cycle is essentially, it will essentially work together. It will essentially be built up from parts, phases to phases to phases, and arriving at the product that we're looking at. That is essentially line is overlapping with project management, and especially scope management. Scope management is really your project life cycle, because very beginning of your project life cycle towards the product is being delivered and being put in use. Okay, many of the phases within it is to create that scope, is to create the work in the scope, is to actually create the final product. So scope management will have the longest interaction with the project life cycle. And in fact, the project life cycle is the main purpose is to come up with the So that's why we need to understand project life cycle. Then you can understand scope management a lot better. Now, of course, in between the project life cycle, we also have phases that we have to manage the cost. For example, conceptual studies, you will need to come up with conceptual preliminary costing, definitive costing, use different stages of the project life cycle for management of cost. Okay, because like what I said in the triple constraint just now, time, cost, quality is essentially the limitation of the scope. So you need to deliver the scope within the period of time, and that is time management. And time management also, it will, in terms of the project life cycle, it will start, that's start, and then in the end delivery, that is the whole timeline that we're looking at, and that is the whole thing that we need to manage. Okay, cost as well, quality as well. Okay, because the product is associated with certain usage functions, the basic purpose, then it will also have to meet some regulations. It will also have to be doing better than what you want it to be, such as durability, such as low maintenance, such as static, and these are all under quality management. So understanding the project life cycle will essentially help me to understand what is it that you're managing here in the project, how you're going to manage them, and it will set the foundation of the management of the project. Okay, so if you look at the line, the line that is created by the life cycle, from zero to product, okay, from 0 to 1, or what you call 0 to product, okay, the whole processes here, or the different phases here, there are activities, there are things that you need to manage that will actually bring about the success of the delivery of the product. That's number one. Number two, the whole project life cycle itself is in fact about creating that product. In the end, you want to deliver that product. Okay. All right. So project has phases. Okay. In fact, this is just a very simple summary of the phases. Very straightforward, simple summary of the phases. If we want to go about talking about this, it really will take a long time. But like I say, I'm still trying to find a balance here with you guys, because you guys are all from different fields. Like most of you are from different fields. Most of you are in construction, and then also, but there are people from different fields, and then not everybody background will actually have knowledge of project management. So it's about talking in detail enough for everybody to get the gist, but not talking so much until the people who already knows it are like, oh my god, what am I doing here? Kind of thing, So there's nothing new, so we want to actually just get that balance up. So in fact, like I said, if you want to go really, really, really detailed about this, we can talk about this in 3 hours, so but we're not going to do that. Okay. So what happened is, project life cycle, I will go from a very, very basic, just to give you a whole guideline, the whole picture, a very clean and clear picture of the project, guideline. I mean the project life cycle. Okay, so does anybody have any idea how does the project start? Engineers, all of you here, how does the project start? Can you tell me? You all are engineers, you don't even know when the project starts out. Human being, do you start when you are born? Or do you start when you're in your mother's stomach? Anyone have any thoughts? Quiet. Sang already, is it, everybody?
What's the question just now, Doctor?
First class only, Lane. The question is, when do you think is the actual starting point of a project? When do you think project life cycle starts?
First day of executing the project.
No, I think that is a bit too later stage already. When you're executing the project, you're already focusing on construction, on building, on carrying out the work already.
During
Nice
conceptual.
try, but yeah, it's fine. Conceptual, yes. Conceptual, a bit earlier than conceptual. Needs and demand.
In
Every
feasibility,
project will start from earlier than that. Okay, so the answer is every project will start, the birth of every project will start from some form of demand, some form of need, some form of problem. Okay, so for engineers, the beginning of our project is always some form of needs, demands, or issue. Okay, so you will hear, let's say we are one day in a coffee shop, okay, and then we're saying that, oh, you know, the flood is so bad, you know, like, you know, my house was totally flooded, you know, and you know, it took us 3 days to, you know, clean up and everything. Okay, so this is a problem right now. So flash flood is your problem. So flash flood is your problem, then something got to be done. And if this is your problem with your home, then of course you need to do something about it. But if this is a problem with the whole area, with the whole neighborhood, with the whole road, with the whole thing, then something needs to be done on a state authority level. So then this is whereby there may be a need now to relook at our flood control management and our drainage systems, for example. So that is the birth of a project. So when we have villagers that needs to come out every Saturday to sell their goodies, and they need to take a boat to walk, you know, how many kilometers through forests and jungles, and then coming to the jetty, and then, you know, take a boat to Muka, take a boat to Sibu, or take a boat to Kuching and all that to sell their product. We have a problem. We have a transportation problem. We have a logistic problem. So we want to build, we want to connect rural with urban. We want to improve people's life in the urban area with water, electricity. This is issues, this is needs, this is demands. So there will be something like that. That will always be a triggering factor for project, for product. So it will trigger transportation, it will trigger road project, it will trigger jetty, wharf, river transport projects. Some project it will trigger treatment plant, it will trigger raw water intake tank, it will trigger pipeline, it will trigger pipe support, a high level water tank projects. Okay, and then in some cases it will, in the flood cases, it will trigger studies. Not only studies, it will trigger reconstruction of drains, realignment of drains. It will trigger additional on drain monitoring and all that. So there need to be some form of solution, and those solutions will be the triggering point. So from that triggering point, when we have our needs and demands, okay, we move into what we call the conceptualization stage. Because the moment you have a need, there is a client already. Client here, let's put it in a very broad category, means that there's somebody who needs this. And it could be a private client, it could be public, it could be people, it could be a family. It is usually to use the word client sometimes can be very misleading because, but I don't know. But if we put it other way, it may be a bit too mean. In the end, client, I mean, like if I put it very direct, it will be client are people who will need the solution. Client is the people, whether they are the one paying for it, okay, or they are the one making it, it's okay. Don't worry about that. Client are the people, your client as an engineer are people who need the product. Stop. Okay. If they are the paymaster later, then they are your employer. Okay. They are the developer. They go by different names. If they are public, if they are just the end users, then the client word is the end users. See? So they don't pay for it, but they get to use it. They are at the end of it, they are the public that will use the product. They will be at the end of the beneficiary end or the cost end of the product. Then it is they go by different name. Okay, so in the end, client are people who will need the product, need the solution. Okay, so they are your boss basically So this way not boss as in the company boss, but just think of them as boss school So this one is your client. The client are the one, I think the people, we just use the word people. Using people is so untechnical, doesn't sound good, Public is too general as well, because there are some private clients who will need the product and it's not the public, okay? There are projects that are private based, there's some projects that are infrastructure based. Infrastructure based will be more, the client will generally be the end users, the public, the taxpayer, okay? So people or group of people who needs the product, we identify that. Then the project will have to go through a very important segment, that is to understand the client's requirement. Okay, so now engineers, you need to sit down and meet the mind of the client. Okay, and the needs are basically you need to fully understand and meet the requirement, what is in the head. What is it that you're looking to solve? What exactly is needed. Okay, that is very important. Now, we may say that, we may need to add in certain transportation, or we are thinking about, constructing a new pipeline with treatment plant, a small treatment plant, etc. So that is the need and idea. That is the birth of the project. But conceptualization now will involve coming up with I wouldn't say coming up with the component first, but I would say that whether this is really, really the solution. This is really, really the need. So the first answer that the first question that we need to answer for the need, for the idea that came out from your birth, the needs and demand, is to verify whether are we really going to go ahead with this. Okay? Okay. So how do you verify that? Well, you need to do market studies. You need to do client meetup. You need to talk to the client. You need to discuss. You need to do surveys. Right? You need to involve public. You need to do surveys. So you need to study the mind of your client. This is really what they want. And then if this is then that will answer the very, very first questions, and that is yes or no. Because every solution that you do, there will always be another solution called do nothing. When you do nothing, people's life still goes on. It's nothing to do with, if this is a do or die situation, then obviously there is no do nothing. It's already confirmed this is a solution, we need to do this. But more circumstances, there is no urgency. We are not doctors. You don't have to make a decision and that will immediately kill somebody in the next 3 hours, or 2 hours, or the next 30 minutes. But engineering, we always have that leeway of, still continuing doing the things that we are doing, and just not so perfect, but we still can use it. Okay, so there will always be that option of do nothing. So in terms of conceptualization, the first thing you need to do is to actually understand the client needs and demand. And then what is their requirement? What is it that they're looking for? What is their objective? And what is it that you wish to achieve? Okay, so in this case, there will be a report that you do with client's requirement that will actually spell out the needs and demands and all that. It will answer why. Why do you need the project? Okay. Then you start to conceptualize, and the client said, "Yeah, I think this is exactly what I want. Now can you work on it?" So in the conceptualization stage, we may do some sketches. You know, we may do some. We may do some. You know, drawings. You know, and then we may explore some ideas, and then what we need to do is to, in the end, come up with a project brief, okay? And that project brief will more or less, we call it project charter, okay? And this project charter, it will be talking about a few things here, the client's requirement, and this is the environment, this is the issues, this is environment and environmental issues is different. Environment means project environment. So where is this happening? This is Sarawak, this is in Kuching, this is in what Third Mile, this is in Batukawa, this is in whatever. So you need to talk about the logistic, the geographical conditions. You need to talk about the surrounding authorities, etc. You need to do a project environment scan, or what we call issue analysis. So at this stage here, when you do the project charter, it's more like to get the client's requirement, understand the client requirements, and understand the project environment first. So then you can confirm whether the project is going to be go ahead or not. Meaning that yes, this is going to be social. We're gonna have to build a road. You see? So your project charter will end there. We're gonna build a submarine. We're gonna build a road. We're gonna build a new boat. We're gonna build a new development area. 100 acres. So this is project charter. The conceptualization is a very long process. It's not to say that conceptualize, you only sit there and draw all these drawings, you know, and then this is how it's going to look like, etc. How it's going to look like and all that is only part and parcel of the project charter, of the following conceptualization activities that we're going to do. Okay? So from the project charter, okay, further conceptualization will involve data collection. Okay, data collection meaning that you need to collect some, you need to collect some, what we call site data. Maybe you need to collect bore logs. Maybe you need to collect ground conditions. Maybe you need to analyze the river condition. Maybe you need to monitor the slope for 6 months. Maybe, you know, and or you need to monitor the damage that is currently happening or the pattern of the rainfall, etc., etc. So we need to collect data. It could be technical data, it could be economics data, it could be social data, it could be environmental data, it could be geographical data. There's many aspects of data that you need to collect, and this is not feasibility studies yet, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I will talk about feasibility studies later. At this stage here, it's just data collection. Okay, and this conceptual report, part of it is what we call project charter. So the first version of your conceptual report will be your project charter. Then after that, when the client said, fine, let's go for this, let's develop this further. So you conceptualize further, you're going to collect data further. So your conceptual report are being built up now. Okay, and then what do you do now with all this data? You need to create components. You know, like a road will have what components? Is it 2 lane, 4 lane, a brick? You know, are we going to have we're gonna have, you know, how many km, you know, across. We're gonna have, we're gonna use, you know, we're gonna have piers. We're gonna have, you know, abutment. We're gonna have, you know, it's gonna interact with the river and all that. So we've got to collect this data first before we can determine some option. Okay, and studies here will come in. And option studies here will involve you studying the major component, for example. Not major component can be like a road, can be 2-lane, 4-lane. That is major component. And we talk about it can be table stay, it can be arc, it can be what steel bridges, it can be trusses, you know. So those are major components. So you see, your idea kind of develop more now, and you know it's getting a bit more componential now. It's a bit more on the component. It's what type. Okay, then we can continue with the data that we collected. We can develop our subcomponents. Subcomponents, it will probably be dealing with the material, you know, with the different parts, you know, with the different. It's just like when you build a car, or you build a car, for example. You know, yes, we can have the idea for Project Starter will be we need a new car, a new line of car, for example. And our company needs to go for a new line of car to expand the market. Electric car, for example. Okay, let's say electric car is a newer thing. Okay, so no more hybrid, pure electric car. This is our company direction. We need to have that kind of market share. And then, you know, mechanical engineers and manufacturing engineers are all, you know, brought in, and then you study this, you know. So you come up with project charter. Yes, confirm the client is going to ask us to develop a new line of cars. So now you are going to develop, you know, you need to collect data, you know, like market are they selling to? Is there any market for it? You know, and then the client has any facilities to build it or not, and what is their level of capacities like. So you do a lot of these studies, initial data collection for you to develop a component. So I'm going to develop, you know, is it going to be an SUV? Is it going to be a sedan car? Is it going to be a big car? Is it going to be a small car? So basically, we are just trying to come up with components, you know, options of components. Then, of course, the option of the subcomponents will be the type of engines, the type of material, the colors, the seating, you know, the weight of the car, you know, and the space, you know, the trunk, you know, the tires, you know, the brakes, you know, the roof, you know, etc. So some subcomponents. So in the end, by the time you finish your option studies and your component, your subcomponents with the option studies and all that, you are essentially looking at coming up with what we call a scope statement. The scope statement is your product breakdown. Okay, so with your product breakdown, it's like, okay, we've got this product car, and the components are what? Subcomponents under that components are what? Engine is a component. So component under the components, they are what? The wires, they are what, metal or whatever. I don't know what cars. Okay, so then under the body of the car, under the tire, under the movement, under the, you know, electric system, you know, for that there's different components. So you have that product breakdown in a very pictorial form. You can have it in a drawing form. You can have it in the product breakdown form, decomposition form. So you are decomposing it, and in between you are studying a few things. You're doing value engineering here. You may be doing, you're doing value engineering here. You're doing LCC here. You're also doing LCC means that you'll also be looking at the future maintenance, operations, and all that of this particular vehicle, and therefore it will affect the options. Because when you bring in the studies of VE, you're talking about performance versus money. So you can have a component that's very expensive, but it will last longer, you know, and then that will actually affect the final cost of the product, and the selling price of the product, and that will affect the market for the product. See? So they're all interrelated. So you will have VE here, you will have LCC here at this stage, to do these services, to do these option studies. But like I say, it's something for you to consider at this stage because we still haven't reached the design yet. We're just determining the component and the potential of different options that we're going to have, and that will actually affect our final idea of the product. Okay. Then, with your product breakdown, okay, of components and subcomponents, and then you will also, like I said, collect the data, the very physical data, very economics data, very market data, very social risk. All these things you are doing some data collection here, you come up with a scope. Okay. So then option studies will also help you to determine what is the best combo that we have here. The best selling, the best fitting to the market, the best fitted to the requirement of the client. And then we have a scope statement. Okay, and that scope statement will be further developed. Okay, will be further developed, and this is whereby your feasibility studies will come in. Okay, so the next thing is feasibility studies. So once your concept, you've already got the picture and the decomposition of the components, basically your product breakdown, what we call the scope statements are. So then you further do, the client will choose. You may execute some preliminary design first, okay, at this stage if you're required to, then do the feasibility studies. So feasibility studies here, it will encompass you studying which of these options is the best. So you've got the components, then you study those options. Okay, you further study those options. And then, because now you've got combo A, combo B, combo C, combo D. When you do the earlier scope statement, when you're developing the project, you're just exploring the possibilities, different options, different material, different components, and all the kind of things. But now, when we talk about feasibility studies, we're properly talking about options here. Options combo A, combo B, combo C, combo D. Okay, and then we will do economic studies, technical studies. We need to do feasibility studies. And these feasibility studies will involve, studying the economic aspects of things, studying the dollars and cents, studying the expenditure, studying the benefit in terms of how much money you'll be making, how much return, how much is expenses, and how much will the maintenance be, how long will the life cycle, and then you'll be looking at some costs, expenses, benefits, and all that in dollars and cents and non-dollars and cents. Okay, so you have to remember all our project will actually affect end users, affect the public, affect people. So we also need to know how our project will be affecting the environment, environmental parts of the things, and is it green? Is it sustainable? Is it long term? Is it less maintenance? Is it aesthetically pleasing? Is it high performance? And then we need to understand, we need to study. So feasibility studies, there is technical. Is it doable? There is economics. Is it making money? Is it bringing in more benefit than cost? What is the expenses? What is the capital expenditure? And what is the social? And what is the impact, culture, to people, to demographic, to businesses, and all that. So these studies here, these feasibility studies, when we talk about feasibility studies, is really at that stage whereby you already study, when you are studying the option or picking the option, or the option is being picked. So this is what we call development of the project. Development stage. So under conceptualization, you have your conceptual report that will be built up from a project charter to a scope statement to the scope planning, whereby you're talking about feasibility studies and whether it's financially viable, whether technically is it feasible, economic is it feasible, is it doing more good than harm. So feasibility studies is really at the later stage whereby the project is really now being developed into a very clear picture. Okay. And of course, we have our design stage, which is the development stage. The development stage is also, you need to work into the legal, the authority, the administrative potential of the project and all that. So a very long thing. I'm going through this with you as a prelude to scope management. So in detail, the notes and everything, there will be in scope management as well. So I'm just trying to relate project life cycle now with scope management. Okay. And of course, at the different project, at a different stage of the project life cycle, you also will involve time. You also will be involving cost. You know, you need to do preliminary costing. You need to do conceptual costing. You need to do, you need to know how long it takes to design, how long it takes to build, you know, and all that. So time management, quality management, and authority, regulations, legal, codes, standards, these are all the quality aspects of things, and it is going to be appearing in the consideration during the conceptualization, during the development of the project. So at the end of the project conceptualization, you essentially have the conceptual stage and also the development stage, which will involve feasibility studies. Okay, then moving on, you know, preliminary studies can be done during the development stage, or it can be done after, depending on your client, really, like who is a paymasters and they want you to do it or not do it. And then finally we move into the final design stage. So final design stage is actually when you really will be designing every component, calculating whether it's safe, whether it's doable, whether it's buildable, you know, and then come up with the final design. So in the car example, so in the scope development, in the scope statement, you got the component, you got the product breakdown. In the development stage of the project, you are developing the different components, different options, studying the different options, studying the feasibilities of it. And then, you know, you come up with a preliminary design. From there, the client said, hey, this looks good. I think this is really what we're looking at. So let's move on, or they will change a few details, and then they will move on to the detailed design. Okay, and detailed design, once you've already in detailed design, things are finalized, the actual cost, the actual time that needs to construct these facilities or this car or this plant or this manufacturing belt or whatever, with these machines, well, it will be finalized. Okay, there will be technical detail, drawings, specification, quantities, all out by then. Okay, so this part here, when you reach this part, your scope is determined already. Okay, when the design is out, the scope is there. This is the scope of the product. This is the product. Okay, this is how the product looks like. This is how the product will be when it's delivered. The commitment. Okay, so up until this stage, everything is on paper. Okay, and this is essentially the scope. And if you have gone through such a long process to come to the scope, because it's a very well thought through, it's a well developed, well conceptualized scope and well designed scope, right? Then we are moving into deliverables. We are delivering now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're delivering the project now. So the delivery phase of the project will involve two things. Number one, procurement. Number two, construction, building, or delivery, or delivering the deliverables. So basically, it's about physical activities. It's about working. Then this is the part that we will have execution, construction. Okay, this is a part about implementation. And this implementation, the work, you see, the work will commence. So from the part that you are, the procurement station, all that is like in functions of management, you'll be organizing, correct now? Okay. So from this stage onwards, you are doing work breakdown structure. The final outcome is work. The work that is needed to deliver the product and the components and the subcomponents of the product. So from the subcomponents of the product, we need to determine the activities, we need to determine the work that is required to carry out the resources that is needed to carry out the work, it will be there. It's actually physical. It's actually action. Camera action. This is the action bit. So doing construction procurement to construction bit, we are looking at, instead of the work scope, we're looking at scope of works. Okay, so execution bit is about scope of works. The work bit, the product bit is the scope. Scope and product the same. Works and work, the activities, these are the same. So basically, we have product breakdown, we've got activities breakdown, or work breakdown. So execution bit, we are doing the work, we're doing the monitoring, we're doing the procurement, we are doing the action of delivering, the building, the construction, the delivery. Is all action, it's all work. When you talk about scope, you're talking about noun. We are developing the different components of the noun. When we're talking about work, we're talking about verb, construct, do, pour, type, bend, write, number, okay, add, take out. All these are verb activities. And then at the same time doing that part of activities, you also do monitoring. You also do monitoring, you also do controlling, you also do corrective action. So it's the do bit here. Okay, so work breakdown is what we'll be covering as well. So from product breakdown, next week we will come back with the product breakdown. Okay, how to do product breakdown, how to come up with scope and all that, all the way down to the different tools that you need to use and all that. To work breakdown, coming out of the work breakdown, and then where does VE comes in, where does LCC comes in. VE and LCC also comes in the design bit of things. It's always about product development that we use VE and LCC. When you do execution, you do LCC and VE, it's a little bit too late already. Okay, so the scope of work that is carried out successfully will deliver the product successfully. Okay. So now, after you deliver the product, before you deliver a product, you test it, you commission it. That is very common. You need to test run it, you let people use it, for a while to give the feedback and to improve and to make it better before the product actually being put into the hands of the client, which is the audience, which is the public, which is the people in the project. Okay? The end users. So this is after the execution phase is complete, the testing, commissioning, and all that. Then, of course, we have contractually, we've got the defect liability, we've got the guarantee, warranty period, and then we've got the handing over to the client, full handover to the client, and the client will be using it for the next life throughout the product. The product is delivered now, so the product now is being called product. The actual scope has turned into a product, and the product now is in the product life cycle, whereby it will go through operation, maintenance, and usage and all that before change the purpose. At the end of the project life cycle and the product life cycle, the purpose of the project and the product will change. So the functions, the purpose of it will change, and it will be something else. There'll be start of new project, start end of the product life cycle. Okay, so you can see that relationship between project life cycle with scope management. Are we clear on that? Okay, so different part of the project life cycle is really come out with the scope and to deliver the scope into the product and to make it used by the people, built by the final client, audience, and all that. So that is the purpose of understanding project life cycle. You need to understand project life cycle to better understand scope management data. Okay? And the other part of why you need to understand the project life cycle is because at the different stages of the project life cycle or different phases of the project life cycle, we are actually applying management. We are actually applying management to different areas of the project. At the initial stage, we are, you are doing management, you are doing your planning, organizing, execution, monitoring, corrective action. You can see this is the processes of management. The tools, process, and technique of management that will be applying to the different phases of the project life cycle, which will have different areas that needs to be managed. So at the conceptualization, you need to manage data collection, you need to manage studies, you need to manage time, you need to manage codes, regulation, authority, requirement, you need to study the environmental issues, planning, and then construction bit, you need to manage the execution, organizing the resources, the procurement bit when you're organizing the resources. So all these management processes are applying in the different areas in the project life cycle. So depending on the activities of the project, the phases of the project life cycle, you've got different activities. The conceptual, you've got some conceptual activity, and then design, you've got some design activities, and then you've got some procurement activities, which is in the organization phase of the project. And then you went on to do the execution, delivery, testing, commissioning. You see, at the different phases of the project life cycle, there are different activities that you need to manage, and you're applying planning, organizing, execution, monitoring, and corrective actions into that areas. So essentially, the tools and technique and the processes that is very specific to that area, to that project, will be executed. So it's very important for you to understand the different phases of the project life cycle. Okay, so for you to understand there are different activities that you need to do, and then what are the relevant management processes that is needed, and that means the relevant skills and tools and techniques that you must master as a project manager in order for you to execute the management processes in the different area so that the product can be delivered successfully. That is the purpose of us going through what we call the project life cycle in that sense. Okay, so this is the notes on product life cycle and project life cycle, the differences and all that. Okay, so what is this? Okay, there's some notes on that. Okay, difference between product and project, and of course, changes versus one. These are just some ideas. These are things that we will go through later on. These are some of the basic functions. Basic knowledge about project management, essentially. Okay, so I think these are management processes. So management processes is pretty much similar with what the management function. Okay, so it's just basically management functions within the project itself, like what are the activities that you need to do in terms of management, in terms of initiation, in terms of changing like this. Oh, okay. In terms of initiation, in terms of planning, in terms of execution, in terms of controlling. In terms, is this a more detailed write-up about the processes that is needed within the project life cycle to manage projects? Just now, when we talk about management functions, they are very general. These are just typical management processes. But here, the project management processes is very specific for the project itself. Okay, so yeah, so I think this one you can actually go through it by yourself. Okay, if there's anything that you wish me to clarify, It's more like what are the activities, what are the actual things that you need to do lah, in terms of project. Just now one is general management. The first set of slides is more on general management, on the functions of general management. But the same functions now is being seen with things that you need to do, the processes that you need to do, the tools that you need to know, the skills that you need to have for you to manage a project now. Okay, very specific knowledge on project. So they are still the same: planning, organizing, leading, planning, organizing, execution, monitoring, controlling, and corrective actions. Still the same, but very specific on the work that needs to be done in each of the functions in the way each of the process that we call processes. Processes, because processes involve skills, involve tools, involve equipment, involve the whole picture. Processes is like a bigger word here, okay? And so it's the activities, the skills, the tools that you need to have in order to apply to project. And it will be applicable at the different stages of the project life cycle, depending on the activities or the stage or the phase of the project life cycle. Phase is bigger. We have phase conceptualization, phase design, phase delivery, phase procurement, phase delivery. So these are phases. But within the phases, you may have stages. For example, conceptualization, you can have a conceptual stage and a development stage. In the design stage, you can have preliminary design stage and the final design stage. In the procurement stage, you can have the tendering stage, you can have the contractual stage, award stage. And then these are in terms of execution, you also have the construction, monitoring, controlling, you go at different stages. So testing and commissioning is also a different stage. It's a phase, but it's also two stages inside there. The stage is smaller, phase is bigger. Understand that? Okay. So yeah, like I said, these are just basic. These are the actual words. The actual skills and tools and processes that you will be applying to projects, different phases of the project life cycle, into different areas of knowledge, such as procurement, such as risk, such as now at the different phases of the project life cycle, I need to apply risk management. Which stage? Okay, I need to apply it at conceptual phase to study the risk. I also need to apply it during the execution stage, whereby I need to study whether the risk has happened or not. Do I need to relook the risk and all that? So, but a lot less in construction, but a lot more in the earlier stage, whereby you need to plan out what are the risks involved and how you're going to overcome them. In the execution stage, is more on the monitoring of this risk and if you need to do anything about it, corrective action. But activities there is more less the work that you need to do, the intensity there is a lot less than in the earlier stages, whereby you need to study and analyze the risk profile and what you need to do to overcome or to improve project in terms of risk. So you see, risk management itself, it can be applicable to different phases, and the process that you do is different. Okay, and time, again, like I said, it starts at the beginning and it goes to the end. So at the beginning, during the procurement organization, the design stage, time is more conceptualized, but in the control and monitoring, the actual scheduling management is a lot more in construction stage. The building stage cost is the same. In the earlier stages, you do conceptual costing, you do definitive costing, but during the construction stage, you need to do the detailed costing and also expenses control, financial control, budget control, and all that. It's a lot more intense in terms of cost management during construction stages. So again, the different areas of knowledge, the processes, the skills and tools, it doesn't run away from planning, executing, organizing, and all that kind of thing. And it is applied at different phases of the project life cycle. So this is what we're trying to get at essentially today, for you to truly appreciate why project, what is a project and why project needs management, and what is so and what is so good about management, that it can marry project and become project management, can become a new knowledge area in this world, in the profession as well. And then we move on and talk about project life cycle and its relationship, number one, with scope management and its relationship with the rest of the other project management area and the processes that needs to be applicable in the different stages of the project life cycle. So for you to have a guideline later on when we talk about time management, cost management, then when you have subjects like quality management, you kind of know that, oh, okay, I'll be using it for this stage of the project, I need these skills, I need to use this analysis, I need to analyze it like this, at this stage, to give me the answer for this stage, to make some decision at this stage and all that. So that is the appreciation that we try to gain here for the class, for the first fundamental classes. I call this a fundamental class now, fundamental class of project management, that I need you to build this foundation within yourself. So the things that we talk about later will make a lot more sense to you in terms of the skills, the tools, and the techniques, and the how, the SOP, processes that we'll be using, and applying it to the different phases of the project life cycle. And in the end, whichever stage we ever face that we're applying to, the ultimate goal is to deliver the project successfully. Okay. Right. Any questions? I will post up the notes on ELIP as usual. Or ELIP is something that you need to worry. You need to register yourself on, especially for those new students. Register yourself in the subject, not only register yourself as in taking the subject, but ELIP is the part that you need to go to the subject and register your subject. Then all my notes and recording and everything will be available, usually a week after the class. Then you can read it, you can download it, read it, and we always communicate a lot of our paperwork on ELIP. Okay? So especially for Gabriella and Junie, I think maybe you've been briefed by Dr. Lin, by other subject lecturers, but after you finish class today, you've got free time until 2 o'clock before your next class, so go for your lunch, and then I think you still have classes in the afternoon, I believe, right? Okay. Then get some time up and register yourself in the subject, in a specific subject ELIP. So when you go on ELIP, you need to go to every subject and register the subject that you're taking. Otherwise, you cannot access the notes and the information and the recorded lectures that I will posting up next week. Normally after I post up the recording and the notes, I will tinker in the group and say that notes and recording are ready, so you guys can go up there and download. Okay? Then next week when we come back, we will be starting on scope management. Okay, so today I've already given you a very brief overview about what we'll be doing in scope management. So anything that we cannot complete by next week, like BE and LCC and everything, I've got pre-recorded lecture prepared. So basically, there should be about another 80 to 100 minutes of pre-recorded lectures, depending on how fast we are next week. If next week our class should be in the afternoon, if I'm not wrong, 3 to 6 o'clock. So so usually I don't take any breaks in between. Normally, like some lecturers will take breaks in between, like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, but I don't do that. And what we do is we go through everything one shot, and then we finish early if we can. Okay. Right, but in between, of course, you guys are online. You can go to the kitchen and get yourself a drink, go to the toilet and get yourself a pee or something like that. That is fine. Okay. So you don't have to ask for permission. Yeah, but I will see you guys soon as well, physically in November. All right. Okay. So I think this is it for today. So we finish early. Okay. And we'll continue next week. I think there's a lot of information here already. You know, I think if too much, then later on you cannot digest also.
Doctor,
Yes.
already finished.
Huh?
The class
Yeah,
already
class
finished
finished.
or still
So
is already on?
done already. So you don't have to come back in the afternoon. Okay. I'll see you guys next week. Huh?
Thank you, doctor. Have a nice day.
Thank you.